Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope it's been not as Monday-y as most of your Mondays, but we hope to make it a little bit better here. Risen Divinely kicking off week 4, 4x4, and Mr. Thiv here on the cast. Looking smooth as ever, Mr. Thiv. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well too. I'm really excited to get into these games. We had a little bit of a change of schedule, switched up the games that we were going to be casting, but they're definitely still going to be exciting. And yeah, I think the draft already happened because again, we are a little bit behind. I think we can just get straight into it if I'm not mistaken.
That is definitely the plan. Yeah,
All
yeah. To get into it here, we've got. I think the last time you and I were casting, we were casting the other two teams in this division, which were Glacial and Soulbound. And Soulbound still at the top of this division after they kind of smacked around Glacial rather. Glacial is 2-1 though, so that was their only loss. But Akuma Claymores and Lost Collective are the two teams that we have on tap today in second to last and last in the division. It's not quite do or die for them for either team, but mathematically speaking, it's kind of do or die. It's looking really, really rough, especially if you're Lost Collective sitting at the bottom of the division at 0-3.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's definitely do or die for Lost Collective. Like for any chance at making it out, you have to win this game. And I mean, honestly, yeah, it is do or die for both teams. They're both at the bottom after the first round robin, and they need to take a win here to keep their hopes alive of actually getting out.
Yeah, and in the head-to-head, which was in week 1, I would actually argue, just looking back here, as we've done kind of the procrastinated version of which, so for me the usual version of prep here. In their first matchup that they played, Akuma Claymores took down Lost Collective in 3 games, so 2-1. But since then, the trajectory for Lost Collective has gone up a little bit. For Soulbound, when they played Soulbound has 2-0'd everybody this year, except for Lost Collective. It was 2-1 in that one. And, it's a moral victory to be sure, because at the end of the day, like we said, they're still 0-3. But I would actually argue the Lost Collective seem to have figured it out a little bit, and their trajectory might be slightly in a better direction than Akuma's. But we're getting into the draft here. This is already pro-drafted, so we've got everything here. And Mr. Thiv, we're seeing a lot of standardness from Akuma and a little bit of spice here from Lost Collective.
Yeah, quite a bit of spice from Lost Collective. I mean, I'm fairly certain that the Pantheon is the jungler in that comp, but like they might pull out something really weird. But yeah, Lost Collective definitely getting spicy with it. We'll see if that's more to do with if that's the reason perhaps that they are doing so poorly so far, or if it's something that can help boost them back up. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how such a composition works out from Lost Collective, because while there's some good scaling tools with Ornn and Swain and Vhagar and things, like their attack damage threats actually fall off fairly quickly. I'm not a huge fan of the Yone in like competitive games. I think he's basically just he's a glorified assassin which builds different items. He doesn't build assassin items, but that's still what he ends up being, what his play pattern ends up being for the most part. With a strong-ish team fighting ultimate. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not super convinced by Lost Collective's comp. It is going to be the Pantheon jungle. Like I said, we're seeing the client draft play out here right now. And yeah, Vhagar, Swain, bot lane, which can be pretty scary for sure. But as an Ezreal Nautilus, you're going to be feeling pretty safe. Nautilus might be feeling the hurt a little bit, end up taking some punishment and like quite a bit of poke and things. But yeah,
such is life for a Nautilus sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be a huge deal, right? You're still going to have a lot of value in the team fights as a front line and as a CC bot, and peeling for your carries and whatnot. And Ezreal, is traditionally picked, as the safest bot laner in the game, pretty much, just a safe, reliable carry that won't get cheesed by the likes of Swain, Vhagar bot lane. So we'll see how that goes. Again, a bot lane like that really needs to push an advantage, which is weird to say about champions like Vhagar and Swain that are more like scaling mages, or battle mages in the case of Swain. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not really convinced about the double magic damage bot lane going into Ezreal Nautilus was just a much more standard, safe route. Ziggs can, play pretty safe against the Yone, and also, the nice thing about Ziggs is that you don't need to follow roams to be able to impact what the roam leads to. If the enemy mid laner tries to roam bot or whatever, first of all, you can really punish their wave and their tower as Ziggs, but second of all, you could just half roam, toss an ulti, and maybe help the fight out, and have just as much value. So I like the Ziggs Ezreal poke core coming out from Akuma Claymores. Like you said, a lot more of a standard draft from them. Although, it does have a little bit of mismatching in terms of like what some of the how some of the champions want to play team fights, but for the most part, they could play a fairly straightforward front to back, started by a Hecarim engage, and just Mordekaiser ult a value target, and the fights are pretty straightforward with the Nautilus and Hecarim frontlining, and Ziggs and Ezreal poking from a safe range. So yeah, whereas again, with the more off-the-wall comps like Lost Collectives, there's also the burden of execution to think about, which I think is way harder for Lost Collectives comp, besides maybe the fact that they have Ornn, which is nice. Ornn's always great. But other than that, I don't know. Yeah, Ornn really does it all, but I don't know if Ornn is enough to salvage that team. They're gonna have to show something really convincing with a comp like that, where again, like your mid jungle 2v2 is easy to itemize against, your bot lane 2v2 is easy to itemize against, even though you have mixed damage threats. In the early game, when it kind of matters most for a comp like that, you can be itemized against fairly easily. So yeah, I definitely have my doubts. I don't know. I've been talking for a long time. What do you think?
No, I mean, I'm glad that you brought up kind of the itemization in the early game, because I think that is what it's going to come down to for Lost Collective, is that, like you said, they have some nice scaling options, but we like to use the term bridge, right? What's your bridge to get to that late game? And Pantheon can be that, absolutely, even in the jungle, right? We've seen him play a lot more support, but he can absolutely be that bridge. But again, like, Ziggs is so safe, so, maybe you can catch him out with the Yone. Ornn can be sneaky, punishing. So, but I think you're going to see him in the top and bottom lanes, if absolutely, more than anywhere. But again, it's just like, as a Pantheon, you've already got kind of a rough hand dealt to you in terms of scaling and in terms of the amount of burden of execution that's on you in the early game. And this choices around him don't seem to make it any easier for him. That's kind of my read on it. I feel like we're saying the same thing in two different ways. So with that, we are going to take it to a spectator break. And when we come back, any more analysis we think of in a couple minutes here during that spectator delay. And of course, the game one in this best of three between the winless Lost Collective and the 1-2 Akuma Claymores fighting for survival in Division 3 here in the Risen Divine League. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Game 1 in the best of 3 here on this Monday night between Akuma Claymores and Lost Collective on the blue and red sides, respectively. 4x4 and Mr. Thiv here with you. Shout out to Rando Joe and for Caddy for filling in as our producer here on at the last second. Really appreciate everything that they do. As it was reaffirmed to me, honestly, as we had some kind of last-second switches, producers really are the backbone of this stuff. I know it's funny to be like self-deprecating as a play-by-play, and that's part of the brand or whatever, but like, yeah, really do appreciate him just like pulling out all the stops here at the last second. But we're gonna get into it here. Both of these teams staring up at the top of the standings from the bottom. Lost Collective 0-3, Akuma 1-2, and pulling out all the stops here with their backs against the wall. Lost Collective have drafted themselves into a not quite a hole, but I guess pigeonholed themselves. Maybe is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, they've definitely pigeonholed themselves with this draft where, Pantheon needs to have an impact because he will get disgustingly outscaled by Hecarim. So he needs to have an impact early. Yone, I think similarly, kind of needs to have an impact because I was talking about before, even though he builds different items, he definitely plays like an assassin and has the power curve of a more conventional assassin as well, falling off later on. And again, obviously this very unconventional bot lane in the Veigar and the Swain. I was about to say Ezreal because his name is Ezreal. That's going to be annoying. I just realized. Really annoying, but yeah, we do have Ezreal on the Veigar, and Swain.
And on the other side, Ezreal.
Yeah. On the I mean, wait, what? No. But I think so they went double electrocute, which I think is what you need to do. We were talking about this in the loading screen. I mean, you want this lane to take those aggressive trades and really bully the Ezreal and Nautilus. Because, I mean, if you can't really do that, then there's a very high chance that Veigar and Swain will both be behind in terms of levels and farm and be pretty useless come the team fights. Why are they?
Nautilus going right in there with that level 2, catching out Applause, does burn his flash. So you absolutely take those, putting the shoe on the other foot here, and just aggressing them right away.
Yeah, that was just really poor lane positioning, to be honest. I don't know why Plaza and Ezreal were walking up in that situation with, a level 2 Nautilus able to, I just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're that's not a caster curse. That's just prophesying at that point.
I mean, look, like they foreshadowed it themselves with how they were positioning in lane at like level 1 and 2. And then again, Ezreal gets caught out by a Nautilus hook, not Bodast, the Veigar. And nice W by Ornn to not die to the Mordekaiser E there. But yeah, just bot lane looking really, really rough, and that's exactly what you don't want when you sort of take such a hard left turn in draft in order to, pick up such an unconventional bot lane. You really need to make sure that that it can work out. I mean, it is just game 1 of a best of 3, so if you're gonna try a strategy like that, at some point, then now's the time. But yeah, so far not going too well.
Yeah, and Ezreal is, so often as he takes his first back here and gets the call, this is kind of what you think of with Ezreal, is you think, defensive, you think great, easy, safe scaling option, which of course he is all those things, but especially when he, is able to get that tier and really start trading freely and just whipping out those Qs with no fear of mana mismanagement, especially early on. That's when, with the range and the quickness or the frequency with which you can throw that out. You talk about the aggression on the side of the Veigar swing, which there absolutely is. Bodast, he's shown that he can return that back, and I think right now, I think there is a slight mental edge of, oh wow, this lane is not going the way we thought if you're in the bot lane of Lost Collective.
Yeah, it's also, to bring in another thing that's going really for Lost Collective, unfortunately, is the Pantheon is just kind of matching the Hecarim in terms of just looking for farm, instead of actually looking for a play around his lanes. I mean, for example, that trade mid lane could have been a great time for him to go, but instead he's rushing bot, which is not really gankable right now. And yeah, that's not going to lead to anything. And he might even be caught out here, level down.
Yeah, meanwhile, some carry rushing bot, but in response here and burns the flash out of Lol Rapid. Able to burn his flash, and he just retreating. So now, not only seeding Dragon Control, also down 10 CS. Yeah, it went from bad to worse.
Yep. And again, I don't know if you would call it a caster curse because again, he was already foreshadowing making a poor decision by also, by making an earlier poor decision and not actually looking to support his lanes with the threat of an early Pantheon gank or something like that, while Hecarim's still farming up and not totally massive. Because again, you have to take it as a fact that you're falling behind against a Hecarim as Pantheon just as the game progresses in its natural state. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you hate to see it. Bodash blast coned himself right into first blood. And that's the way this game is gonna go.
Yeah, that's when we were prepping for a certain kind of series, and this looks like it's gonna be the opposite, but I'm kind of all for it as there's a gank mid.
Able to burn his flash, but flashing right in with a good E. Little Rapid making up for it and picking up a kill for himself. Not necessarily Echidna, but a kill is a kill is a kill.
Yeah, kill's a kill, and that's 2 kills going over to, but look, I mean, for everything we've been saying, there's one game separating these teams. I believe you said Lost Collective did get 2-0'd, let's hold that thought.
They did, yeah, and Ezreal here just in poor positioning, and now this is the thing that I do very, very poorly when I try to support or jungle, is I show up to help at the last second when help is just going to get you killed. And look at Dark Lord just being Nautilus, being oppressive, and just a CC bot forcing everything away from Bodash, who now might be able to get a chance here to pick up a kill on Rapid, but not if this TP comes in on time. Ezreal coming down here right from base into lane, and now the shoe is on the other foot, and Overstay a little bit greedy from Dark Lord, and he will go down. Meanwhile, on the top side, I thought the TP was coming down from Deku, but instead he just yeets out an Ornhorn and gets the disengage there from Echidna.
Wow. Yeah, I don't even really know what to say. I was saying earlier, it looks like we're gonna have a fiesta on our hands, and that definitely seems to be the case.
Break out the party poppers, kids.
And at the end of the day, it's still even in gold, just because again of the lane leads in pretty much every single lane, which again we kind of expected for Akuma. But yeah, I mean, Akuma did get the first dragon, and I think that even if a couple more plays like this happen, Deku might be dead. Okay.
Yeah, not quite Deadku just yet, but taken very, very close.
Yeah, but like I was saying, even if a few kills go the way of Lost Collective, and in these like clown fiesta-y skirmish situations and things, nothing I've seen so far in this game gives me confidence that they'll actually be able to play out this difficult to execute comp, have a gold lead in the mid game, and then close out, which is what their comp needs to do, or else it loses, right? That just, I mean, do you see that happening in a game like this? I don't know. Am I being too harsh?
I mean, I will say the early macro movements haven't given me a ton of confidence. I think that I agree with. But look, we're 8 minutes into this, and at the end of the day, look, Rapid, for his questionable decision making down in the bot lane, it was good, good foresight and good positioning to get a gank in the mid lane and get himself a kill and, get Echidna a little bit of the pressure relieved here by little baby Cutie. But Rapid here, just going to straight up walk by, okay? The E comes down, baby cage, Bodash, eats out the Shrew Shot Barrage. Now he's going to get TP, some help here. Matthew picking up a kill onto Ezreal. There goes Revnon, TPing down from the top lane. Rapid picking up a kill on Matthew, and Rapid just waiting for his combo to come back up, and Bodash not respecting the range of the leap, and he will go down, but Applause goes down as well. Double kill for Pantheon, all 3 kills for him.
Yeah, and right when you were talking about how Rapid was still doing okay and looking for plays, while he was hiding in that bush, I took a look at the gold, and some carry was actually ahead of him by 300. But obviously, with those couple of kills coming through, it has brought him a little bit further forward. It's equalized that gold. He's now even with the Hecarim, who has double his CS. And again, I just maybe I need to take back what I said earlier, because that felt like such a poorly thought out play from the side of Lost Collective, but misplays on either side meant that it was a 2-for-2. Hold on.
Some carry still got the Onslaught of Shadow, uses it to slam 2 people into the wall and pick up a kill for himself and his AD carry. Little baby Cutie wants in on the action. Instead, we'll just provide additional pressure onto this tower, proxy out some waves with this dragon up in 20 seconds.
Yeah, and I don't want to harp on it too much more, so I won't after this. But man, that Veigar Swain bot lane not looking like the tech here, for sure. This top
Yeah.
lane, another fight.
Let's see, Deku in the Death Realm. Good thing the Ornhorn can still reach in there. Just holds on to his life at 100 HP. But doesn't even burn his flash either. All that fighting taking place right under his tower. So Deku coming close, but taking at the end of the day a smart trade.
Yeah, well, not, I think that he played that trade smartly.
Yes,
After getting
that is
aggressed
more
on.
what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know about him taking a smart trade. It was more him getting more ulted on. But yeah, it ends up being okay. Like you said, to have the discipline to save that flash, and still get away was definitely very good. Avoiding the solo kill there, against a Mord that's a kill ahead of him. So definitely well played from Deku, as we're seeing a play in bot.
Little baby cutie not scared of the Veigar, just launching bombs to him. And no Primordial Burst could save him. And meanwhile, Dark Lord Matthew just going to lock down Applause. No disengage. When you get up in their faces, which they have tools to do, it all falls apart.
Yeah. And like, here's the time where I would love to like continue to point at draft and be like, this is why like draft something unconventional like that. You need to know what exact situations you can draft it in, and it needs to be later in the draft. Blah blah blah, whatever. Honestly, none of that even really applies here. I just think that Ezreal and Applause are honestly just making tons of positional errors, and taking bad fights and getting caught. And that's ultimately going to happen on whatever champion you play. Obviously, it'll happen less on a champion that you're more comfortable on, because you can think about you don't have to think about playing the champion itself as much. But yeah, I just don't feel like this early game has been going well at all for them, and I think it's just because of the way they've been playing rather than the champions they've been playing.
Yeah, no, it's like you saw the way in, right? You saw what they were trying to do,
Yeah.
and really, it is just it's like, what am I trying to say here? Like, there are a couple of abilities to play around, right? And once you do that, as Ezra actually here landing a lot of damage on a little baby cutie, so making me look silly here, but you saw what some carry was able to do on that gank down bot, right? He just got in their faces, ulted both of them into the wall, and the follow-up is there because Bodas can stay safe, right? And Matthew can get up in everybody's grill as well, Dark Lord Matthew, or he could stay back and be on peel duty. Is Deku in some trouble here? Cannot find the back half of the Ornhorn, so he will go down. Maybe, unless he has something to say about it. Rapid goes in with the Grand Starfall, but I think very misguided, as he will most likely go down. Good Aegis Assault here, but will in fact go down and burn the flash as well. Now Echidna, oh boy, does he want to timing it? Fate Seal just misses with the Soul Unbound, getting the damage here onto Revnon, and will go back out here. Burns both summoners there. I was worried there for a sec.
Yeah, I was worried that he would join the chain of players running it down. As Wolf burned in mid lane, but some more important fights happening bot here.
Yeah, everything being burned here as Dark Lord picking up another kill here. I was going to say he's 4-3. He's got the most kills of anybody on the team, but just locking down people left and right.
Why isn't... Okay, there we go. I was like, it must have been on cooldown. I was like, why is Ziggs not detonating the tower? He probably used it to like clear a wave and then was waiting for the cooldown. But that's going to be another powerful aspect of this Ziggs going into the later stages of the game that the enemy team really can't match, is his sieging potential. You have Ziggs and you also have a real marksman. Now Ezreal isn't the best siege marksman in the world by any means, but compared to an enemy team that has 3 melee champions and then a Veigar and a Swain, you're definitely going to be pushing those towers a lot more safely and a lot easier, and you actually have the potential of getting meaningful pushes done without Baron as well. So yeah, it's gonna continue to be rough for Lost Collective, and just get worse as Rapid next bot.
Really nice W from Little Baby Cutie to get Rapid in range here. Deku, though, starting to get big here. He doesn't have the Ornhorn up just yet. Some carry will get his kill and get out. Ezreal does have the GLP, so throws out a little bit of spice. Gets the long-range dredge line, and Bodas finishes it off with a ult of his own. Ult into the wall here. Does get hit by the baby cage eventually, but will pop right out of it and slash Veigar in the face. This is going from bad to worst here, Mr. Thith.
Yeah, Dark Lord Matthew was honestly just flexing on him in that team fight there. He got the max range hook, then he danced around inside the Vagar cage. Immediately afterwards, he flashed out of the Vagar cage to get another snare, make sure they got the kill onto Ezreal. And yeah, bad to worse is a good way to describe it. Again, like the game was always going to look stompy if Lost Collective didn't manage to execute towards their narrow win condition, and they didn't, and it's looking stompy. So yeah, a couple signs of life like early on, but it's hard to see how Lost Collective can come back into this one, especially when, in my opinion, they're also getting outscaled.
It is interesting as well because we were kind of, we were talking about even this lethal tempo Ezreal as, or as in, for Akuma Claymores, and about how we expected the aggressors to be the bot lane of Lost Collective, and I think that might have been their intention very well. And Low Rapid, right? He made some good ganks, picked up 3 kills for himself. So it's not like they were just like completely inting their bot, but some carry was all over the map, and he was a big reason that they were able to press that advantage in the bot lane and pick up these kills. Heck, Dark Lord Matthew is the same level as the opponent, 80 carry, quote unquote, right? He's got 2 levels up here on Applause. He's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
No,
here,
and he has
Bodak
10 KP. He's definitely like, sorry to interject, but he's been playing super well. Yeah, he's from first of all from like level 2, he asserted his dominance in that bot lane, and he's asserting his dominance here as well.
Yep, saying who's the better tank here. The ult and the damage goes down as well. And Little Baby Cutie, like that's what Cutie and Bodas. Yeah, that's what Bodas and Cutie can do the whole game. That's what they have been doing the whole game. They have no fear of getting jumped on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, it just comes down to, it's both the draft and the execution, right? Like I said, yeah, the Vagar Swain bot not working out, and if it doesn't work out early on, then it's probably not going to work out as you move on into the game, because your bot is getting smashed too hard. But the thing is, like, I don't know. They didn't play towards their, again, I said it was narrow, but they had a win condition in that bot lane. It was around that double electrocute. So when I saw those keystones, I was like, okay, they kind of know at least what they need to do in this lane. But that means playing around like short trades every wave or so to get like big chunks. And instead they were just positioning like they were willing to contest the all-in, which you really can't do as Vagar Swain against Ezreal Nautilus at level 2. And then they were just punished for it, and they were never able to come back into the game.
Yeah, it was. I think I'm glad you brought up those trades, because that felt like kind of the missing piece in my head, right? Is that if you do take advantage of those trades, then you can do what I thought was going to happen, which was, trap the Nautilus Ezreal under the tower completely. So much damage on Dark Lord Matthew, and he just face tanks all of it. And look at Bodas. He's like Perks out there, just free firing rather. Ult goes out, but a nice Aegis Assault prevents Rapid from going down. Deku. He's taken into the death realm. I think that was him. Yeah, the textures are tough to pin down here, but a kill gets traded back and forth here. Lots of damage from sub carry. Able to pick up a kill there on Deku. And Bodas picking up another one here. Ezreal getting one back, though, so not going down without a fight. Just out of range on the baby cage there. Echidna looking for maybe a re-engage. Takes right back in on the Soul. Unbound damage comes down onto Revnon. He does not care at all. He is a big Mordekaiser.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure towards the end of that fight there, we saw Rapid trying to Pantheon ult out of there, and then the Death Realm that he was in ended, which interrupted his Pantheon ultimate because he no longer had a valid target, because I guess he was ulting out like inside the Death Realm or something. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it got interrupted by something else. But yeah, pretty funny stuff at the end of that fight. But what's not funny is the incredible lead that has been amassed for Akuma at this point. It's a 7,000 gold lead at 20 minutes. The Dragon Soul is coming up in around 2 minutes 30, and you've got to get some seriously creative and effective flanks in order to overcome such a deficit in terms of both gold and like team composition at this stage in the game. Like, your support is a 0, 5, and 2 haunting guys, Sork Shoes Swain. Like, compare that to the 4, 3, and 8 Nautilus that your team can't seem to kill, and the top side that still hasn't died yet of of Hecarim and Mordekaiser that can just destroy your backline, right? Or destroy your mid laner.
Yeah, and some carry, right, just eating all this damage from Echidna that he used his entire kit there on him, and he just walked it out like nothing was the matter here. He's going to sacrifice a tower, but now Dark Lord Matthew joined the party. He's got the active from the Stone's Plate, but does he have the backup here? Maybe a little bit mistimed. The Ornhorn's not going to find its mark. It's the root there onto Echidna. It's going to solo bound back to his location, but some carry meets him in the back line, but he's taking a lot of damage. Well positioned here. This fight is too scattered, and it's Rapid that comes up with not one, but 2 kills. Deku, will he even go down? Gets hit over the head with the Obliterate, so he eventually does. Echidna has to burn the flash here. Revnon can't find the Death's Grasp and can't find the kill onto Rapid, who picks up 3.
Yeah, it looks like he didn't quite have his W up. I thought that was actually a really nice fight setup and stall from Dark Lord Matthew once again. I think the execution just wasn't there in terms of, using the Mordekaiser. I don't think you want to use Mordekaiser ultimate in that situation. I think you just want to be fighting them with your team and getting your AoE damage onto multiple members rather than just one, and then save the ultimate for like the cleanup after that fight. But I think, maybe a little bit of greed or just over aggression. They needed to be more patient, basically, in that fight. Did Akuma, and so gonna give a little bit of breathe a little bit of life, I guess, back into Lost Collective. But at the same time, I mean, it was the Pantheon getting the kills. I mean, he's already not feeling that useful, and so I don't know. Yone's still starved for kills in this game. Again, top is very behind, bot is very behind. It's something, but the gold lead is still around 5,000. So Lost Collective are gonna need a lot more mistakes like that that they can capitalize on. Namely around this next dragon. Now it is just a cloud. It's not like the most game-ending soul. It's the least game-ending soul actually, but it's still a pretty significant power boost and something that you probably don't want to give away. That being said, if you need to throw the game to fight this, then just run. Oh, they're running.
Drop the Herald mid, look for a fight, go to Dragon. Some carry just taking it all to Echidna, who grabs the Fate Seal, but is met with a Q from Bodas. Lots of damage from him. Revnon gets it, and this was the difference, Mr. Thip. When you have your Ezreal, when you have your Ziggs, that's all the damage you need. They tore right through Lost Collective.
Yep. When you have your whole team, the gold lead is there, and big one-shot onto the Hecarim. That's going to be a little bit of ego, at least back towards Ezreal there. But yeah, just an absolute smash in the team fight there for Akuma, and I think they'll just be able to lock it in for game 1 here.
It looks like they will be able to. Yeah, with the Ziggs and the Ezreal, like you said, the ability to create a good push. Now, Applause does pop the Demonic Ascension. It actually does not a bad job here. Gets little baby Cutie. So that's a big point of siege potential here. Let's see, Revnon and Bodas staying safe again. Dark Lord Matthew just trying to be that CC bot. Revnon, walk auto, and is able to take down the Nexus. Good fundamentals there. Right-clicking at the right spots by Revnon. It got a little bit worrisome there for a bit, but front to back, this played out kind of how we thought it would.
Yeah, unfortunately the case. It really seems like there's just a gulfing class here between the two teams, at least in game 1. It's just a better draft and better execution from Akuma. So nothing to fault them for there. But yeah, gonna want to see a lot more from Lost Collective if I'm gonna think that they have a chance in this series.
Yeah, we will see here. Getting a look at the damage graphs. I mean, you see just how much of contributors they were, right? I mean, Ezreal, Lil Baby Cutie, and Bodas, right? The CC, when you had those trades in the bot lane, right? I mean, for this one, we don't have to give MVPs, but to me, it goes to Dark Lord Matthew because he was just. I mean, his Nautilus fundamentals, as someone who plays a lot of Nautilus, that's the kind of play that I aspire to. Just this calm, collected, I'm going to be intentional about every auto, every ability, weaving them together, beautifully daisy chaining all his Nautilusness together. And Bodas and Lil Baby Cutie were never scared once.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, I think the big thing, basically, I mean, the only nuance or the main nuance with team fighting as a tank like that is knowing when you need to be hanging back to peel your backline and when you need to be looking for a pick onto their backline or just looking to hard engage or whatever, and like how to distribute your CC, things like that. And I think Dark Lord Matthew was doing really, really well on all of that. Like you said, his mechanics were on point too. So yeah, really good performance from him.
It was a bit of a stomp here. Lost Collective, again, staring at an 0-3 record on the bottom of the division right in the face. Akuma, with a win here, would move up to 2-2 and give themselves a fighting chance with 3 weeks to go before the playoffs start. Again, top 2 in each division make it out. This is Division 3. They are staring up at Glacial Esports and Soulbound, who are 2-1 and 3-0 respectively. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Game 2. The sides will switch. If Lost Collective lose, it's over. We can get on with our Mondays, but or if Lost Collective lose, there we go. But they are looking to, like I said, I do believe that from what we've seen in weeks 2 and 3, they've got something to write home about. But when you draft like this, it's going to be a lot harder for you. Let's see about what they improve, if anything, in Game 2. We'll be right back. Back very, very quickly here. We heard y'all wanted pro draft, so that's what we're gonna give you here, and we're gonna give you the first 4 picks for free here as a sneak peek. That's just the kind of people we are. 4x4, Mr. Thib here for Lost Collective Akuma Claymores Game 2, switching sides where Akuma took Game 1 in pretty convincing fashion here, and in the picks and bans, seeing a little bit more of the same. Again, we didn't like dissect this kind of too hard, but this is a little bit of what we saw just as far as the comfort picks and the pocket picks that both these teams can bust out.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, respect was given last game as well to the Rek'Sai for some carry, and that's going to be the same case here, as well as I think the Lucian was a consistent ban as well, which I think just is a good ban in the meta. And first pick Caitlyn going to actually be open for Lost Collective, which is exciting, but Caitlyn is a bully. You know, you generally pair her with something like you know, Karma, Morgana, Lux, and you know, play a bully lane. But I think the general concept behind Swain Veigar is also to be a bully lane, and we saw how that went. So you know, while Caitlyn definitely a strong pick in the meta, and one of the few ways you can actually play through bot right now. We'll have to see if Lost Collective can actually execute. I think that's going to be the name of the game for me, for Lost Collective overall in this game. You know, win or lose, I definitely just want to see like their ability to hopefully draft like a simpler team composition and then be able to execute on it, right? Like be able to actually you know, take concrete steps in the early and mid game to set up win conditions either around Dragon or in lane stays or things like that. So you know, we'll see what this next pick is going to be. Looks like Cassiopeia. Meanwhile, on the side of Akuma, really quickly, you know, Graves and Ashe, obviously they're just kind of almost going by the tier list, if you will. You know, they're just all right. Next best jungler available. Well, technically it's probably Nidalee, but she's pretty hard and definitely not a champion for everyone. Graves can accomplish much the same thing in terms of you know, in just an AD role, you know, power farming, you know, hyperscaling. Oh, good God! All right. Well, that's interesting to see. The Urgot. I definitely think that Urgot can have a pretty hard time against champions like Ashe and Vel'Koz, which just got locked in. I do not like the sound of playing Urgot into those champions that can just kite you forever and never allow you to actually get value from your, you know, your shotgun knees, passive, and things like that actually make Urgot strong. So while I'm interested by the Urgot pick, I think he's a little bit underutilized right now in the meta. I don't think this was necessarily the location for him. I think as soon as you see an Ashe, you probably want to steer away from, excuse me, those kinds of sorry. You know what kind of a champion Urgot is. He's an immobile juggernaut. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, got something stuck in my throat there. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm not super convinced. You know, Cassiopeia and Urgot also, you know, want to teamfight in much the same way in terms of being sort of mid-range, again, like bruiser, juggernaut, conqueror type carries. So yeah, I just think those kinds of carries really get feasted on by champions that can kite you out, like Ashe and Vel'Koz, and then really abuse short range champs. Yeah, Malphite.
A Malphite locked in here, yeah, for Akuma. Yeah. So there's kind of your engage or your follow up, right? But if it's that or the Ashe arrow, there is good lockdown here. Vel'Koz can absolutely feast here if these fights go their way, right? And like you were saying, okay, Leona coming into it now, and that's, you know, that makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to walk right up and get your, you know, your petrifying gaze, your shotgun knees to shred, whether it's Malphite or whoever here. But kind of zooming out here on the draft, I am, especially considering, like you were saying, the spot of the Urgot, the fact that was locked in, and then Akuma goes, oh, bet, and then they ban away Morgana, which seems like you were saying, a great Caitlyn pairing. It feels like Akuma kind of got away with one there.
Yeah, I mean, Akuma got away with a lot in this draft, if we're being honest, right? Like, it's just, I mean, I'm not even really sure what Lost Collective are aiming for with that Leona, right? Like, Lux is open. Why not Caitlyn Lux in that bot lane? And actually try to achieve something. Instead, you have Caitlyn Leona. Leona, she can, shut down the Vel'Koz ulti, but from a distance, which is important. But if she doesn't save her ultimate for exactly that, then she's just another free target for Vel'Koz again to just like we said, feast on these melee champions. So relatively, besides the Caitlyn, it's a relatively short-range comp from Lost Collective that can really suffer against the likes of an Ashe, the likes of a Vel'Koz, and the likes of a Malphite. You have to clump up more if you're shorter ranged. That's just, that's physics. And so it's more likely that Malphite can get, a multiple man ultimate off and things like that. I didn't talk about it earlier, but I really do like the Malphite here as a counterpick to the Urgot to really just seal the deal on hard punishing that Urgot pick. But yeah, I think it's a better draft from Lost Collective, I think. It still has clear win conditions and it can team fight decently well, but something like the Evelynn, generally pretty hard to execute. And I don't know. She definitely wants priority in the lanes, and I don't think she's going to have it anywhere again, except maybe bot. But like I said last game, based on the way the bot 2v2 was going, I don't know if there's any matchup that goes the favor of Lost Collective. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I like what you said about that Evelynn is a champion that wants that priority. And it feels like, again, with the Morgana getting banned away and then the Lux getting not picked, that's something that they might look back on with some regret here. But yeah, I mean, whether it's the Leona as well, right? As far as the engage and kind of how to start fights, right? There is a lot of damage on the side of Lost Collective, but it's how do you set that up, right? And like you said, it feels like it's just Leona more or less, right? And if that ultimate doesn't hit the Vel'Koz, that's kind of what you're aiming for. And then you've got the Malphite and the Malphite Alistar to follow up on you. Just feels like there are a lot more tools to you could play around it a lot. And Graves is pretty mobile and a big bursty damage dealing chunky boy. It just feels like this is, again, it just feels like it's tough to execute and compositionally. I don't know how well it works together because I don't hate the individual picks, right? These are all individually strong picks, but thematically, if you will, it again seems like Lost Collective painted themselves into a corner.
It's not, excuse me, it's not just thematically too. Like sometimes, like don't get me wrong, thematically it's a mess as well. But I think that it's also like they didn't get any advantageous matchups or anything like that in order to sacrifice that cohesion of team comp or things like that. Like that's what you have to look for is like some teams will trade off team comp cohesion for a better specific lane matchup that can then get the team to a place where they don't need a cohesive team comp to close out. Like those kinds of things can certainly work, and they do work all the time. But I just that's not the situation here. You have lane matchups that are generally unfavorable with a team composition that also works together less well, and also a team composition that is specifically poor against the kind of composition the enemy has. So, again, it's an uphill battle from draft for Lost Collective here.
Yeah, and also it felt like that, even with favorable lanes, like it felt like on paper maybe that bot lane could have been in game one, the Veigar Swain. Still, it wasn't, like you said, if you could just overwhelm them with damage, basically, it doesn't matter what the heck your team comp is, you're just going to die. And that's what it felt like the win condition was. And that, again, feels like what it's kind of going to be here. Now, you play a lot more Evelynn than I do. And I've never played an Evelynn game in the jungle in my life. So to you, right, you said, she wants these leads because she wants to farm up. And her team fighting and access is good. But talk to me about how she works as kind of a ganker and how that lane priority kind of interacts with what she wants to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's less about her ganks, and it's more, honestly, it's more about securing her early game. That's when Evelynn is most vulnerable. If the lane position favors it, obviously, as whatever jungler, it doesn't matter. You can go for a gank if the enemy jungler is on the other side of the map. Even if you're not level 6 as Evelynn, you can sometimes do things. But mainly, the name of the game with Evelynn is early on, you just want to get to 6, which is when you have your major power spike, and you can really contribute to both skirmishes, ganks, team fights, whatever might happen in the like early to mid game. I think that basically you need the priority in the early game, not to do anything, but so that nothing happens to you, so that you can safely
Right.
do your like power clear and like hover lanes and just make sure they can, get their push outs or whatever, and just get yourself to six as fast as possible while being able to, like I said, shadow your vulnerable lanes and still contribute a little bit of presence.
And now it does feel like Graves has similar goals in mind as that, as far as that is concerned, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that six is as big a power spike for him. That's not the case. His strengths are in other places, but he's not a super capable ganker, right? And like you said, barring lane state, where okay, look, if it's gankable, it's gankable. Even Karthus could walk up with no boots and just drop a wall of pain and make something happen. But it'll be interesting to see how these two junglers respond to the varying lane states, and if solo kills go one way or the other. Last, before we get down into the spectator delay here, this top lane matchup here. You talked about how the Urgot fares into a team comp like this. Spoiler, if you missed it, not great. But as far as this actual matchup, how do you see it going? Right, as far as the individual matchup, but it's also like on the subject and the backbone of the junglers and their presence up there.
Yeah, well, so I mean, Malphite was picked here, and like I said, I do like the pick because he can. He isn't vulnerable to Urgot's trade patterns because of how how the damage is almost all AD, and Malphite itemizes armor so easily, and Bramble Vest does so well to shut down what Urgot wants to do in trades and things like that. So um, that's nice. It's not like Malphite is going to win the lane. I mean, he might, but that's just that's player difference rather than anything else. But he can be safe. Now, this is where the Evelyn pick is actually useful, and one of the few like sort of upside. Like I would still say that the Evelyn pick was a little bit weird there, but one of the few things that you can do, and that I'm looking to see if Lost Collective can execute on, is ganking this Malphite, because you have a mixed damage threat, right? Evelyn has magic resist shred built into her kit as well, so she can really threaten this Malphite in a significant way, despite him being under not too much kill threat from the Urgot alone. On the flip side of that, though, you have Graves Vel'Koz as the mid jungle 2v2 on the other side, so Cassiopeia is going to be just as vulnerable, and probably a lot more vulnerable given what the lane priority is probably going to be like, from that mixed damage in the mid jungle 2v2. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I definitely give the draft edge once again to Akuma, but again, anything can happen. The game is mostly about execution, only a little bit about draft.
And keep
Okay, it's
that in
kind of a lot
mind,
about draft.
kids. Yeah, this is a two-part equation here, no matter what LS might say. Little joke. We're going to get into a spectator delay here. We'll be right back with game 2. Lost Collective looking to bounce back, and Akuma looking to take it home. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Game 2 on the docket for you. It is still Akuma Claymores against Lost Collective, but this time on the red and blue sides, respectively. A little skin thematic cohesion here. It is kind of, yeah, like you were saying in draft, you pointed out this with it, or in the lobby rating screen, rather. It is red team versus blue team on the red side versus the blue side. So that's fun.
Yeah.
But what's more fun is, kind of sick. For Akuma Claymores is the fact that they've got a 1-0 lead in this series, a pretty dominant victory. And we're seeing it. If draft is any indication, which it was last game, if it's any indication this game, this could be pretty open and shut for Akuma Claymores. Is the way in for Lost Collective any more complicated than the, well, if we get ahead early, we'll just overwhelm you with damage, which, like, that's viable, but I don't know. Is there more nuance to it than that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even really that this game, because it's not like they have an insane, it's not like they have, whatever it was, like Pantheon jungle and Swain Vagar bot to really just like attack and cheese and get like some kind of early snowball going out of nowhere. They don't have those same tools, right? So I think the way in has to be the Caitlyn, right? You look at this composition and you're like, if the bot lane gets ahead, if Caitlyn somehow can manage to push a lead against Ashe, which, again, even through the nerfs to both of them, Ashe has remained a pretty consistent counter pick against Caitlyn, mainly just because she can go even and stay safe and provide just as relevant damage later on. But an early gank coming out from Evelynn here, perhaps.
Let's see what Rapid can do. Flashing right in. They've got the level advantage here, sort of. 2 more flashes come out. The flash comes down as well. The smite onto, or rather the ignite. What came down onto Bodest? Oh no, it was a cleanse. My apologies. I saw a little poof, and I wasn't sure exactly what it was. But able to burn some summoners there and create a little more pressure in what's already a pretty impressive lane here for Lost Collective.
Yeah, that's going to be really nice. I think it was a little bit of a miscue by Rapid towards the end there to flash follow the Ashe. I think he could have just gotten away with that, but we're not getting a pause in the action here.
Not quite. If last game again was any indication, there's no way we get that. Kidna with the Spirit Blossom poof there under little baby cutie, but not going to find anything. And yeah, action will resume as normal. Man,
Okay.
Usually when you see 8 people congregate on that side of the map and like half of it is in one person's jungle, somebody dies.
Yeah, usually when there's a 4v4 blue buff contest, something's going to happen, but it just ends up going over to the Graves, and that wastes so much of Evelynn's time. I mean, that is a really rough one. I mean, you can see it in the farm. Again, she did manage to get those flashes out of bottom lane, but Graves already cleared 2 camps from top side and 2 camps from bottom side. I'm actually really surprised that he didn't punish what Evelynn did with a full clear. I think he would just be incredibly ahead of the Evelynn, but instead going for this gank here.
And does get the smoke screen down, but it gets locked down under tower. Read him like a book. Great stun from Applause. That's kill number 1 over to Lost Collective, and they are hungry for more. The TP coming down from Deku. Does get the headbutt, does Dark Lord Matthew, but flashing and gets a flip onto Bodas. Ezreal, 1 more auto and a Q should do it, and Deku will pick up the kill. More lockdown here on Dark Lord Matthew, but he will escape. Very well played by Lost Collective.
Hey, I think we got a series on our hands, maybe. I don't want to call it too early, but that was some really nice, first of all, punishing the, honestly, just, I mean, I was talking about how bad the gank was before it happened, and then the gank happened, and it was a lot worse than what I was talking about. I was just like, oh, he's losing out on the ability to generate some more of a lead over the Evelynn. Well, now he just, fed a kill over to the enemy bot lane, as well as, causing another kill to happen as Deku teleports down on the Urgot. Honestly, a really great TP. Really well done. Yeah. It was a nice E-flash afterwards as well to make sure he caught, I think it was Dark, no, it was... Was it Bodast?
Bodast, he caught him, yeeted him right over his head, and Ezreal took care of the rest.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be really, really nice. Caitlyn manages to get a cull and boots. Unfortunately, none of the kills went over to the Caitlyn, but, it's nice to get something in the pocket of the Urgot, and Caitlyn obviously having a bit of a CS lead as well. So yeah, I mean, the early game, we wanted plays to come through bot for the side of Lost Collective, and so far, so good. There was a bit of a misexecution. Oh.
Yeah, maybe not the way that they thought the plays were gonna, or we anyway thought the plays were gonna come through bot, but Yeah, but Applause just kind of ran into one there. Like you said, it was not the best gank from some carry. He goes, oh my gosh, he's in tower range. And he just clicked on him, and he died.
Yeah. And again, just to go back to why I was saying that you shouldn't make that gank. First of all, I mean, you can see from the way the gank went, there's no way you're actually getting a kill there, or even really have a chance of burning a flash. You know, you're a Graves, and there's not that much lockdown available when Ashe doesn't have arrow, and all you have is an Alistar to go in under tower, right? Because again, that was a play he made under tower. They were trying to fight them under enemy tower as well. It's just like, you know, Evelynn has already wasted so much of her own time forcing those flashes bot and trying to contest your blue buff that you just, you know, you just punish that with a full clear base, full clear, and like you're 30 CS ahead of her, and she's never back in the game. But you know, as it is, Evelynn was able to use that time to actually get a level lead, as well as equating the CS difference between Rapid and some carries. So yeah, like I said earlier, things looking pretty good. 1,000 gold lead for Lost Collective. Let's see what they can do around this first dragon though.
Yeah, it is Akuma that are able to exert the lane prio here. It's not definitive by any means, but they're exerting it here on the bot side. Some pings coming down as little baby Cutie now leaves lane with the shove that he got, trying to punish Rapid. Like you said, Mr. Thiv, her early game is where she is the most vulnerable, but if he gets even a little bit of help here from Echidna, this might go haywire. All the damage in the CC does come in, though. And yeah, Echidna wasn't there to respond or do anything. And down goes Rapid.
Yeah, I would love to hear what the comms were like on that one, because there was no one, you know, both Urgot and Cassiopeia were sitting under their tower catching waves. There's no one to help him, and he still stayed on that Gromp, and Deku stayed on this tower.
Deku just face tanked the Lifeform disintegration rate, and a beautiful TP for Echidna more than makes up for it. Lights up Vel'Koz, and they walk away with a kill after getting dove.
Yeah, really well done to turn that play. It seemed like Lost Collective knew what was coming. Deku knew what was coming, and he knew he had the Cassiopeia to back him up. So instead of, you know, kind of running out away from the protection of the tower, he buys as much time as he can under the tower while the teleport comes in. And it was a really, really nice turnaround play that will also manage to lead to the dragon being taken on the bot side with the priority that Caitlyn and Leona were able to get. So really good stuff all around. First dragon now over to Lost Collective, and if I sound like I'm being almost patronizing towards them, that is not the intention. I'm just like, I'm just scared because it's just like, I don't know, I'm scarred from last game, like I'm gonna be honest. So but they really are playing well here. They're, you know, they're setting up plays, they're punishing misplays from the enemy team, they're playing towards the strong sides of the map. So things looking good here. Let's see how the mid game goes, because again, I think that's where the game really fell apart for Lost Collective last game.
Cutie gets charmed, but gets a little bit of CC there onto Rapid, gets flipped, the flash away, auto not gonna land. Or not the auto, rather. Autos always land, silly me, but they do burn both summoners here from Lil Baby Cutie. Good gank 3-6 there from Rapid.
Yeah, unfortunately though, he wasn't level 6, so he wasn't able to actually finish off the kill, but Echidna might.
Yeah, Echidna flashes in, doesn't even need the ult, just Twin Fang, Twin Fang, Twin Fang. That's how it goes with Cassiopeia.
Yep, an easy cleanup on the backside of that for Echidna, who's now 2-0 on this Cassio, and that really changes the texture of team fights and skirmishes in the mid game now. Like with a Cassiopeia who's that ahead of the Vel'Koz, you suddenly don't have this, you know, incredible threat against the enemy mid-range carries that we were talking about in draft, right? If you're not even going into this mid game with the Cassiopeia, and if Caitlyn can be laying down a lot of damage on your squishy Vel'Koz and on your Ashe, then suddenly you're going to be losing those skirmishes around dragons like 2 and 3, and you're not going to be able to establish a presence back in the game. The Urgot and Cassio are just going to drain tank their way to victory. So, so again, that's the way in for Lost Collective, and they seem like they're on that path right now. Finally going to manage to claim some plates in the bot lane for the Caitlyn as well, which is going to be nice.
Yeah, that'll feel really good. Up 20 CS, almost 30 down in that bot lane. Gonna be able to back with about 2,000 gold here, so gonna be able to, unless they get collapsed on.
Scuffed. Oh no.
Let's see if
they didn't get to
can
back.
respond. No, they cannot. But
yeah,
it's okay.
I mean, it's fine. That was just like a bit of a miscommunication. If they had run up, immediately hit the tower a couple of times, and then walked back to the brush and started basing, and let the... Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
I don't know what Ezreal is still doing in lane there, and Dark Lord Matthew is going to try to get the punish off.
He can't even base here. He shouldn't... I mean, he's going to lose a wave if he bases now.
Yep, you're going to lose a wave or get hit with an Ashe ult, die, and then lose a wave. But still, neither one feels great.
Yep. That's just, I mean, that's just poor. I mean, that's probably the easiest example of poor wave management that I've ever cast, and that was really pretty dreadful, all because they agreed for the plate, but a flash forced off of Graves on the top side. In general, this top side going extremely well for the Urgot and Cassio right now. So gonna feel nice that they forced the flash. They're gonna be giving up plates on the bot lane tower in order to claim this Rift Herald, I guess. Which, you know, we'll see how many plates they get with the Herald. It looks like 2 plates lost bot in exchange for this, so, you know, we'll keep a track of whether it was worth it or not.
Yeah, we'll see. And it does feel like, to me, if you're, you know, you see that finally, you know, okay, it's like, look, they got to send somebody to respond here. And if Deku comes down, right, it's still a 1v2. He's just trying to catch those waves, but you know that they're contesting, that they're trying to secure that Herald. So you know that there's no threat of the jungler coming down. You've got an eye on everybody. You're tracking the TPs for the most part. Yeah, absolutely. You take advantage of those plays. There's no risk of an overstay, like we saw from Ezreal and Applause, where with minimal knowledge and, you know, minimal reward to be gained, they got punished for it. But that was much more intelligently played there in the bot lane by Bodast and Dark Lord.
Yeah, managing to get a couple plates, but I don't know if they know how many people are collapsing on them right now. Oh, they want
they're going to get a little bit of help here. Good TP from Revnon. See if he can help in time. Gets 2 with the unstoppable force, and Bodast is just wailing away over the wall. Applause will go down. Little baby cutie gets the laser there onto Deku. True damage stacks there. Life Orb disintegration ray. There's the follow-up from Dark Lord Matthew. Has to flash away. Rapid. No ult. Just a little bit of damage he can provide. The edge has a Crystal Arrow. Able to lock down Ezra with a couple more autos. Little baby cutie gonna get the kill. He is feeling good right now. Bodast throws out the volley. Doesn't have his ult, but he's gonna get sped up here by the Summoner Heal if he lands one more Vi. Should be back up off cooldown. Deku flashing the emote and will get away here. But the fight, well, okay, it will be over here. I think you take your lumps and you get set up for this dragon.
Yeah, and that's honestly on the backside of the fight. That's just what you get for not taking cleanse against Ashe. Like that's, you know, if you're the Caitlyn in that situation and you have heal instead of cleanse, you know, that's on you. So that's gonna be a rough one. That Ezreal dies on the backside of that, because it means that the first team to the dragon is actually going to be Akuma, despite that fight overall not actually going in their favor.
Yeah, they are able to grab that second Drake rather. It'll be an Infernal Soul, which will feel great on either team. These are brawly, clumped up. These are going to be brawling, clumped up team fights, especially for the side of Lost Collective, a little more shorter range, like we were saying. Herald going to be dropped here up top. Going to feel pretty nice to, if nothing else, just milk these last couple plates here at about the 13.5-minute mark. Going to get maximum value pretty much out of that Herald, and see what advantage they can create up there. Like you were saying, Mr. Thiv, the top side of the map is what's going well for them. So, you know, that's how they were able to create this advantage. But now it's what do you do with it, especially with that mid-tier one really kind of sitting pretty.
Yeah, I mean, mid-tier one sitting pretty for both teams, to be honest. And that was the first tower, so Rift Herald ending up being worth it, which always feels nice. That was the correct macro play, at least in terms of net gold gained. And yeah, I mean, the game is probably going to slow down a bit now and just be about dragons, because I don't really think either team looks confident enough to push a lead or look for anything. And ooh, that's a lot of damage. But yeah, both teams will be looking to get you know, at least like one item on their 8 carries or something like that before they fight. Meanwhile, this Cassiopeia is just actually out of control. I mean, already has the
So much CC coming in. Ezreal picks up the kill, and Rapid flashed over the wall to try to secure it, and maybe that'll come back to bite him, but look, they got the kill, and out of control. We're about the most perfect 3 words you could have chosen there, Mr. Thin. Meanwhile, Dark Lord might get applause to die to the tower here, will survive, and the tower dive goes successfully here. They're picking up kills left and right.
Yeah, managing to get a huge pick onto the enemy graves, which, I mean, some carry just needs to respect the amount of enemy vision in his jungle. Like, you have to know that the bot side is where they've invested most of their wards, because that's where most of their players are right now, and that's the lane they're looking to push. So they roam around in the enemy jungle looking for a pick with their vision. They find it, which, again, that's the only play they could go for right now.
Oh, applause with a really good EQ in, and Bodas will go down to the ace in the hole. Looked like dead meat, but applause was there for his AD carry. Oh, and then that happened. Nice flash off from some carry saying, all right, I got one back. Could be worse. Here comes a TP from Echidna, though. The TPs have been good so far for the Casio. W goes out, gets headbutted immediately. Applause is pretty low. Doesn't really have a lot of tools in her arsenal. The EQ comes in. The ult is back up off cooldown in just a second. Survives the one tower hit. Beautifully played dive again from Lost Collective.
Yep, and Lost Collective look like they're running away with it now off the back of the Casio, and, you know, Evelyn kind of piggybacking off of that success as well, now having 4 stacks on the Dark Seal for Rapid, 4-1 and 2 on the Evelyn, 3-0 and 2 on the Casio. Sure, Eve is a little bit behind in terms of farm, which is rough, but, you know, in terms of the overall gold, still 200 ahead, and, you know, I think Rapid, for the most part, like, besides the very early game, he was definitely sacrificing his farm for pretty worthwhile causes, just being where he had to be to shadow plays on the map so that Lost Collective could continue to, like, press their lead with the Caitlyn bot or whatever. So yeah, so just, you know, much better execution coming from Lost Collective, and then, yeah, like I said, I mean, the Casio in the mid lane, Echidna kind of speaking for himself right now. He's 3-0 and 2, 2.5 items. No one can really 1v1 him. No one can touch him in the side lane. We saw how that, you know, 2-level disparity and 1 item disparity manifested with the solo kill onto Vel'Koz. So yeah, Casio looking to carry the team into the later stages of the game, where they'll still be very strong. You know, Urgot and Gus scale well. And we'll see if Urgot can actually get something.
Wow. Absolutely munched through Bodas there. Smart enough. The one moral victory is he didn't burn ult or flash and panic, but that is it.
Yeah. That was actually really cleanly done by Deku. He knew his ranges really well. He lands the ultimate first of all, but then he manages to get the flash. Urgot's really fat. Like, he could have easily hit the wall, but he spaced it really well to scoop up the Ashe while also just grazing past the wall. So a nice little solo kill in the bot lane. This Urgot definitely looking very scary as well, which sucks because now you can't just itemize MR to deal with the fed enemy members.
Oh. No, you cannot. And, you know, while the bot lane hasn't been the star of the show, Ezreal, 2-2 and 5, he's got the IE, and that Black Cleaver that Deku has built is going to help her out a lot. She's going to be able to stay pretty safe. And the bigger that Deku gets, that'll help out, yes, because the Black Cleaver stacks and whatnot, as Dragon goes pretty easily here over to Lost Collective. But because combine that with the Leona and Ezreal's range, there is no reason that, you know, he should be troubled at all, especially when you've got Rapid and Echidna up in your face, Rapid bouncing around with all that MR. This could not have gone better right now, despite our doubts about the draft. It's not, we didn't say that there was no way in, but they played to the condition really well, right? And I think you said it, that Rapid, with his decision making, it had to be worth it. That is the crux of decision making as a jungler, right? Farming or ganking, you got to make sure the efficiency is there. But his movements have been exemplary this game.
Yeah, most definitely. And you know, yeah, we had our doubts about the draft, but I also did say, like, it's a lot better than the previous games, and like you said, it provides some clear avenues to victory. Also, this is a point that I sometimes forget to make alongside the whole thing about, like, kiteability of champions like Urgot or even Casio by something like an Ashe, by something like a Vel'Koz. You know, kiting is still a mechanical burden of execution thing, and, like, you assume it to be occurring perfectly at the highest level, but you can't necessarily assume that it's going to happen at this level. You can't assume that Ashe and Vel'Koz are always going to keep Urgot and Casio at arm's length at all times perfectly with their slows and with their range, right? Like, that's just not something that is a realistic expectation. So, you know, it can be a little bit of a trap in draft also to rely too much on how you expect things to go in, like, an ideal world, rather than how they might actually play out on the Rift. So we're kind of seeing that distinction, in my opinion, a little bit here. But that being said, I don't even really think that the game came down to that, because I think Lost Collective were just more proactive in the early game and got leads from from minute one, right? So in that case, it doesn't really matter what the draft is. They're just executing well. They're looking for good plays. They're punishing, like I said earlier, and yeah, it's working out for them.
And it's like you said I forget if it was when we were, excuse me, when we were signing off for game one or coming back on for game two, what you said you wanted to look for from Lost Collective was like, not necessarily, I usually when you and I are casting and a game goes, is draft diff or whatever, I'll say like, oh yeah, the draft's got to change and that's what we're focused on because, sometimes that is the case. But what you said was, win or lose, I want to see them play better to their win conditions, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did.
Definitely, they're doing that this game. They have this clearly very powerful top side that they're playing through. Caitlyn has been able to kind of siege down enemy towers with, again, the fact that the rest of her team is ahead. It just makes it so easy for Ezreal to go. I realize I said Caitlyn and Ezreal on the same time. I really hate that his name is Ezreal. I'm sorry.
It's rough.
It's just tough as a caster. But anyway, so the Caitlyn, like I said, able to siege down all of the enemy tier 1s pretty easily at the end of the day. After the rest of her team got ahead, you can just use that pressure in order to get free siege time onto enemy towers with your priority, and then eventually take them all down. So that's going to leave them really nicely set up for the upcoming Dragon, which is still about a minute and a half away. So we'll probably be seeing both teams kind of laying down vision after their next resets here, which should happen around now. Yeah, we can see Ezreal going back. Looks like he completed the Storm Razor, so that's going to be a big spike for this upcoming fight. I don't think Ashe is going to be able to match that with an item spike of her own, so mismatch there. Obviously, the Cassio is on 3 full items, and they're 3 very, very scary items.
Yes.
As well as Evelyn not quite having the Rabadons. Not sure why that Amptome is sitting in Rapid's inventory. It might be a classic like sunk cost fallacy situation. But you really do want that Rabadon's next as Eve. No Death Stance on the Urgot as well.
Not yet. As a kid, I maybe caught on the wrong end of it, but just able to kite out, focus on dealing enough damage, said, look, I'm going to go down, but I'm going to buy enough time for my team to get here. 2 TPs coming in, and you worry about Deku a little bit. Can they collapse? Revnon has the Unstoppable Force, goes over the wall, uses it to escape. Applause, drops down the Solar Flare, follows it up with a nice EQ, and the damage is so much. The charm comes down, but some carry able to flash away. Fear Beyond Death, able to snipe him from downtown is Deku on a killing spree and doing it with style.
Yep, and that's going to lead to more towers. That's going to lead to more pressure on the map. That's going to lead to full vision control over this dragon spawning in 15 seconds, and probably just the dragon itself. I mean, almost definitely. There's still 25 seconds on the Graves, last one to die. So yeah, this should lead to a full dragon for Lost Collective. And like you said, all started off the back of Echidna, getting caught, but then being like, wait, you think you caught me? He flash interrupts the Valkaz ultimate with his own ulti, manages to take down, I think, 2, right? And while he gets killed himself, and that sets up the fight perfectly for the rest of his team to come in.
Yep. Let's see if Dark Lord can get there on time. Good dash away from Deku. Hawkshot goes out, and they decide, you know what? With all this information, we are not going to chase this, which was absolutely the play there. That third Drake feels really, really nice, just adding, again, little by little to this lead that Lost Collective have built up. The Baron is the next big item on the checklist. And they have the damage to take it down here, but it's the setup beforehand that is going to be the pivotal thing here. Because while a steal is all fun and highlight play E and all that, they've got a lot of options. Do Akuma to cheese out a Baron steal here, so they're going to have to be really, really intentional about how they set it up if you're Lost Collective.
Oh yeah, you're so vulnerable in the pit starting Baron as Lost Collective. Now, you can do it pretty quickly with the Cassio, Urgot, and Caitlyn. And, Evelyn's objective damage isn't terrible either with the constant Q DPS. But yeah, I mean, a Malphite ulti with a Vel'Koz ult layered on top, a Graves ult too, maybe an Ashe ult catches out your cleanseless Caitlyn as well to get caught in all that burst. Like, it's a pretty big wombo combo. Yeah, like the ultimates on the enemy team can really abuse a stacked enemy team in the Baron pit. Sorry, let me phrase that a little more precisely. The ultimates on Akuma can really punish a stacked enemy team in the Baron pit, and so Lost Collective will want to get a couple of picks before they actually go for that.
Subcarry laying down a lot of damage onto Rapid, but is able to ult away, and an ult from Ezreal comes out. The ace in the hole does find Subcarry, but is a little bit more durable now with that Edge of Night. That's yeah, I think that was a good. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good pick here. Yeah, there's not a ton of armor being stacked up here. Graves loves to go. That lethality absolutely deleted. Good night, sweet prince. Had no reason to be up there, completely blind, and now it's his team's job to clean it up, and clean it up they do. All's well that ends well, I guess is the lesson there. Just kidding. The lesson there is don't face check if you're Caitlyn.
Yeah, well, I mean, the lesson there is do whatever you want when you have a 10k gold lead or an 8k gold lead or whatever, because, oh, wow, that's actually going to be a surrender coming out. I
don't think I've ever casted a surrender. I'm going to be honest.
I understand surrenders if you just got aced and they're pushing down your base, but this ace was just going to lead to Baron. I don't think that game was hard lost by any means, but maybe wanting to preserve the mental or whatever. I mean, again, we saw that both these teams are definitely capable of throwing and things like that. So, I don't know. You know, maybe not the best. Maybe not the most competitively minded decision, but at the same time, sometimes if your mental's in a really bad place and you just need to get out of there, then you just need to get out of there, I guess.
Sometimes it is the competitively minded decision.
I guess so.
For your own ability to stay competitive,
yeah,
maybe. But yeah, I mean this game was very, very well played by Lost Collective. They were all gas, no breaks right from the get-go. And even when, right, your Caitlyn, which is such a big, strong pick in the meta, was 2-3-7. Look at those damage charts, right? Got third place, but not by much. Echidna and Deku were the stars of the show here. But that just speaks to the power of Caitlyn. And even when you just get absolutely face stomped like that, you can win a 4v5. That was the kind of lead that they built up.
Yeah, I mean I thought that last team fight really encapsulated the game pretty perfectly, because the Caitlyn went forward and was giga punished and killed for not having cleanse, but then the rest of the team was so ahead that it didn't matter anyway, and they won the fight and then they won the game. So yeah, much better both play and drafting from Lost Collective. I think Akuma definitely had the tools to still win that game. I mean, again, in my opinion, I think they had a slightly stronger draft coming into it, but with the burden of execution definitely leveled out a little bit. It seems like both of these teams are actually competitive with each other, which is really exciting for the upcoming game 3, which honestly I didn't think we would get.
Yeah, and like Applause said in the chat, Lost Collective, yes, they are 0-3, but they have never gotten 2-0. So for the 4th week in a row, they have taken it to a game 3, which again, that is a moral victory if I've ever seen one. But it does tell you something, especially in best of 3s, where there is a little bit to, a lot to do with responding in draft and picking and banning out certain things. So look, they might go 0-4 and they might just, end the season winless. But hats off to them after getting their teeth kicked in. They made the team that kicked their teeth in surrender. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's kind of hype. I like that.
Yeah, actually, that is huge. So which maybe that's another consideration, right? When you're surrendering, sure, maybe it's better for your mental, but you're definitely giving the enemy team a mental boost as well. Yeah, we just destroyed them that hard. But yeah, I am excited for the next game. I feel like we're just gonna get some really wild drafts and a constantly fighting fiesta. So I'm for it. Let's go. There's not much for a colorcaster to do in those kinds of games, but hey, you sound good. I'll listen to your voice.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We'll give you a lot to do here as we'll get into draft, if nothing else. I know that is your what you like to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we'll get to that very, very quickly here. Game 3 for the 4th week in a row. Lost Collective take it to a game 3. Can they flip the script and get a dub? Go 1-3 and keep their very slim playoff hopes alive? We'll find out when we come back.
See.
For the fourth week in a row, Lost Collective taking it to a game 3, this time against Akuma Claymores, who they got 2-1 by, again, in keeping with the theme, in the first week of the season. Let's see if they can flip the script here. 4x4 and Mr. Thiv here with you to close this one out. Again, both these teams sit at the bottom of Division 3, trying to right the ship in their seasons. Getting into the picks and bans here. This is live. We get to analyze a pro draft, which I know makes no one happier than my color cast.
Oh, for sure. Actually getting to cast the draft live is always a poggers. I will say, the first thing that needs to be adjusted to for Lost Collective is being on red side, right? In this series, we've seen each team take a game, but both wins were blue side, right? So that puts a slight advantage already towards Akuma, which, I think fits the general trend we see globally. I think blue side is once again very strong right now. I think there was a trend of red side being a bit better, but I think red side's back to being more like, it's better if your players are better at laning kind of side.
Right.
But yeah. So obviously, first pick Syndra is a little bit interesting. Different texture than we've seen so far in terms of drafts, just right off the bat for Akuma, just like first picking a power pick mid, perhaps not wanting to to endure something like that Vel'Koz Cassio again, because that was pretty rough. We did see the Evelyn band as well, which I think is a good thing to do, especially if you're going to default to Graves once again. For another game, which I think is fine. I mean, I don't think that that some carry looks bad at all on the Graves, but it looks like we're gonna get a Graves for Rapid instead. So taking it away from him, forcing some carry to play something perhaps a little bit different or a little bit new, which is exciting, and it means we're gonna get the Lilia right away. Insta-lock Lilia Leona. Now, I'm seeing a lot of magic damage over there, but Lilia does like lane priority, and Syndra can definitely get that. It's not the best 2v2 because of the lack of mixed damage, but that's an optimization that I honestly think only matters at the very top, like the very, very top. I really don't think that in your average game it's gonna come down to the fact that they were able to get like an early no magic mantle and it got them a little more value than it would have otherwise. Like, that's not going to be why you won or lost a game at anywhere except the very highest levels. So I like the Syndra Lilia. I think they can work decently well together. We're looking for a strong AD threat in the top lane though, for Akuma to really help round out that draft and give Lilia something else to kind of play with. I've talked to you before also about how Lilia is very good at follow-up engage or secondary engage, or re-engage, but she really can't start fights on her own, so Leona complements that really well. Yeah. Leona definitely complements that well. Unfortunately, I feel like Akuma is almost falling into the same trap that Lost Collective fell into in game 1, where suddenly you're staring at Ezreal, Nautilus, Graves, which are just really strong and really easy to play through, and you are starting to perhaps get a little bit nervous. We see 4 top lane bans, so I'm really interested to see what eventually comes out around that top lane. It's going to be the Ahri into Syndra, which I'm actually not sure about. I was about to say I'm not a huge fan of it, but that is because I've never cast Ahri after her mini reworks, and I'm not an Ahri player. I haven't really been keeping up with what Ahri players say about how good or bad the mini rework was, or how it impacted her. So yeah, I'm actually interested to see how this works out. I'm inclined to think that Syndra's probably still the better pick, but we'll see. I mean, obviously opting into the matchup here is Echidna, so we saw what he could do with the counter pick before. Maybe he makes something happen on the Ahri.
Yeah, and the Ahri had been banned out against Echidna pretty much every game this split. That is just a champion that has instilled enough fear.
That's just bad prep for me. Well, wait,
yeah,
I prepped a
like,
different game. It wasn't bad prep for me. Hey,
oh no, I did. Yeah, don't worry. We both we had the game switched and we go, okay, well there goes that prep. But
yeah,
yeah, and just playing around. I mean, well, okay, we got our answer. You get 4 top lane bans. I wonder what's going to come out of this. Oh, okay.
oh,
We got
it's
Aatrox,
Aatrox Maokai. Yikes. Okay, well, I was really hyped about what might come out in the top lane, um, but you know, we
Wow.
got Aatrox Maokai, so you know.
This, I mean, if this draft, if nothing else, gives me the confidence that Lost Collective might be able to flip this game 3 script. Because again, look, it is not all
Yeah.
about draft, but this looks beautiful from Lost Collective.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a standard, like, it's a League of Legends draft from Lost Collective.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you have Aatrox, Lilia, Syndra topside with a Leona Trist into Ezreal Nautilus. It's not looking like the most well cobbled together. I mean, you were talking last game about things that were off theme. I mean, like, how does Akuma even team fight into Lost Collective here? Like, what are they even looking to do with their champions? Like,
well, if Ezreal, who I think is actually playing Ezreal, if I remember that correctly, which is
yeah, finally, let's go,
big pog, let's go. If he rushes an Iceborne, they don't team fight very well because the ice. I mean, like into it's already rough into this team, right? Just in terms of like cohesion versus not. But Lost Collective, I mean, I think that Ezreal is going to have a big role to play. I mean, he can just with every every Q that he throws out, getting those Iceborne procs, whether it's Aatrox or it's kind of this Leona problem that we saw last time. Is okay, you throw that down, you throw the ult down, as powerful an ult as it is, and as much as powerful as the engage and follow up from Leona can be. What do you do from there? Right. There are so many and Graves is so mobile. Echidna so mobile, right? They start running at you. You can just back off, punish. Maokai gets in there, just smacks everybody down. It's going to be really hard for a straight up team fight on even footing for Akuma to walk away with anything. I'm worried.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like Lost Collective has the range in their composition and the tools to just basically keep Akuma at arm's length at all times until they want to fight, and just like be able to play back, not play into the Aatrox, not play into the Lilia, or the Syndra, or even the Leona, right? And just use your range to sort of kite back, poke around until Nautilus and Maokai see a good opportunity, and then they just take no damage from the enemy team while your backline aces them. Like, it seems just like it's just such a more straightforward composition to pull off as well, right? And you mentioned something about Iceborne Gauntlet on Ezreal. I actually think this is one of those games where you really want to go Trinity Force on the Ezreal to get some relevant early damage going. And besides Leona, I mean, everybody's going to be pretty vulnerable to it. It's not like any of the other members are going to be getting super tanky or making the Trinity Force less valuable in that regard. So I think you have enough ability to kite back on your own, probably. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Iceborne is bad this game, but I think that Lost Collective might want the Ezreal to be able to actually have a relevant power spike on the single item Trinity Force.
Yeah, no, and that's fair, especially with as we saw from some carry, right? I mean, Graves is I mentioned I don't play a lot of Lilia, but I do play a lot of Graves, and it's when he got caught by Applause on that misguided level 3 gank, that the game was kind of over for him at that point because his entire focus was, and he did keep the CS lead, but that's all that he could do was just like, look, I got to get back into this game by farming, right? When it goes bad early, it's all bad. So it's kind of boomer bust for Rapid on the Graves, Echidna on the Ari. Look, he could just smurf on this. That's why he's gotten it banned out 24/7. But he could pop off. But it is good to spread the damage out a little more evenly. So I think your point was well taken there about the Trinity Force here, because also I mean, like Lilia and Leona are kind of what you have to like shred through as far as like tank shredding. But other than that, I mean, this feels like easy pickings more or less. Again, just in these team fights for Lost Collective.
Yeah, again, it just comes down to, I think both of these teams have definitely struggled when it comes to execution in some capacities, in pretty much every stage of the game, which is not like flame or anything. I mean, everyone struggles at most stages of the game in League. No one's perfect players. But yeah, I think that because of that, especially and the texture of this series, like you just want a comp that's easy to play through, easy to execute in team fights and 5v5s, and like has clear win conditions. And I think all of that, Lost Collective's comp checks all of those boxes, whereas Kuma's, there's definitely some burden of execution shenanigans going on with the champions and matchups they have.
Yeah, but it's kind of like you said. I mean, like when after the drafts got kind of more fleshed out, that is when kind of our opinions started to shift more to the Lost Collective favorite side as far as the draft goes. But the points that you made early on about like the first 3 picks, especially about Kuma's draft, still do stand. Look, Lilia is going to have a lot of ability to do what she wants.
I mean, she's not gonna
because
have that much of it. Like she is, but also like we were talking. I was happy when they picked the Leona with her because it's good setup for the Lilia. But besides Leona, they didn't draft anything else that helps her set up or helps her navigate team fights. Like Aatrox wants to benefit off of what Lilia is doing, not the other way around. So it's not like he enables her. So so yeah, it's I don't know. It's the first 3 were like a little bit shaky, but had a clear win condition, and then the Tristana Aatrox like steered Akuma's comp so far away from that, which is the off-theme thing that I'm talking about, that it just becomes like I don't even really know how that draft like wins the game anymore. Besides just outlaning and then getting a gold lead and just forcing it, right?
Yeah, no, that's what you got to do. And Syndra can be that. Aatrox can be that. Tristana Leona can be that in their individual lanes. If those go well, if Lilia is able to just sit back, carry because her lanes are doing great, right? But again, it's what we come down to, right? It's how many boxes do you leave yourself to tick, right? And it feels like Lost Collective have left themselves fewer boxes to tick to make things go right for them. Whereas Akuma this time feels like the one that are going to have to go into that. We've got to get ahead early and just steamroll you. Because yeah, I mean, Aatrox is like the definition of that. But there is a clear win condition. If you play to that, like we saw with Lost Collective, whose draft we weren't too hot on in game 2, things can go great. They went fantastically for them. They went so fantastically to the tune of a 4-0 surrender. Let's see if they've got one more of those in them as game 3 is coming up here right after the Spectre delay. Don't go anywhere. Game 3 in week 4 here of the Risen Divine League. Akuma Claymores back on the blue side where they won game 1. Lost Collective on the red side. They took game 2 on the blue side as well. If history will repeat itself, especially given that game 3's They're 0-3 in Lost Collective. They're 0-3 in game threes, and therefore they're 0-3 on the season. But this could be the turning point for them. They've drafted themselves into a much more cohesive comp, but it's not like Akuma are out of this from the draft. That's never the case, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. I, being 4x4, Mr. Thin, my color caster today, we're happy to have all 40 and change of you here with us. This one should be a good one. They made a series out of it, Mr. Thin.
Yeah, they really did, and going into it, I even find them slightly favored from the draft, like you said, which is great news for Lost Collective. And
woo, getting some spice early, double flash force out of these supports that are gonna want to hold on to those for lane trading, but no dice there.
Yeah, no dice there. Applause forcing the flash trade in the bot lane, which is pretty beneficial, I would say, because it seems like the Ezreal and Nautilus are probably going to have to play defensively in that lane. And excuse me, I think that forcing a flash trade from the supports when they're both tank supports means that Leona, without Hex Flash, can't like get onto you out of the brush and like stun you out of nowhere, and then just you're dead to the Tristana burst. So, yeah, nice try at a cheeky invade play at a cheeky level 1. Doesn't end in too much, but yeah, I was kind of thinking about it as we were loading in, and I was like, there's probably only like 2 ways this game can go in terms of like how it plays out. Not who wins, but just how it plays out. It could either devolve into just a mudslinging fiesta, or one team can build like a controlled lead into the mid game based on these compositions, right? And I think that hold that thought.
Ooh, the stun does land, but Applause got his dredge line out just in time. That is what you talked about it in game 1, right? The level 2s and the margins that these bot lanes are playing on, that's what we're seeing more and more, which is awesome, because that is part of your win condition. Is getting ahead here early. Revnon able to dodge the Q from Graves. Now the TP coming in, and Revnon actually flashes away, but he's going the wrong way. TP canceled by Ari, flashing in and canceling it, and Revnon will go down, but not before. No, he's not going to go down at all. Well, okay, eventually he does. Able to sidestep that and pick up the kill. Wow. The mud is not quite being slung, but the mud pies are being created, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had the vertical jungling going on with Graves taking the enemy blue, and then he immediately tries to convert it into something top. Ooh, some carry getting found out and not able to fully complete that counter jungle. That's actually going to hurt a little bit. He did manage to get the enemy blue buff, so it's not like he got rebuffed on, but yeah, that's going to be a little bit rough. The gank eventually, works out, but yeah, it was really nicely done of Revnon to at least get a kill back, and he got a kill first too, right? Which means that he gets a little bit more gold in his pocket. It means that, the gold lead, despite Lost Collective being the team that made the play. Oh, they're making the same play again. Hold on.
Yeah, Rapid not able to use the E-dash to the True Grit to get in there initially, so not able to quite follow it up here. I think as the ping comes down, some carry worried about a little more vertical jungling, but little baby cutie, no TP, is gonna back. So you see, some carry until he has full vision there. He says, okay, look, if he's not at Gromp, he's probably at Raptor, and he finds him out. Yep. But yeah, the between these two farming junglers, right, this battle of vision and knowing where the other one is, that is the name of the game.
Yeah, but Graves is definitely losing in the farm fight because he tried to go for that repeat gank. I think Rapid, I don't know. I feel like we saw the same issue from some carry on the Graves at certain points where he was going for ganks that he definitely should have skipped. I think LS has a name for them. I forget what it is, but it's probably something stupid. But anyway. Ganks where you really should be farming and setting yourself either to, keep pace with the enemy jungler or pull ahead of them because they're doing something, wasteful with their time on the map, or they had to be somewhere else, or they had to shadow a lane. So yeah, I don't know about the repeat gank, but Aatrox's flash will still be down for another 2.5 minutes or so, so there's definitely still potential to look back towards the top side. That being said, Mountain Drake's now up, so bot and mid are probably going to be more of the focus, at least until that Drake gets taken.
Well, baby cutie trying to be that power laner that some carry is going to need. Rapid back in the lanes, drops the smoke screen, goes right over the wall. Very well played by the Lost Collective jungler.
Yeah, really nicely done. He saw the extended trade going on mid lane. Echidna just buying time, making sure to bait it out. And yeah, little baby cutie goes down. He missed a stun to start that fight off. I think he's actually been missing quite a few stuns. I mean, they've been sidesteps by Echidna, but at the same time, I think that if he were timing his like QE or EQ a little bit more precisely, he could probably guarantee those stuns. Like they were pretty close range. So a little bit unfortunate that he wasn't able to land that. He might have had the burst to get the kill, but I doubt it, given that he doesn't have Ignite and things. Does get punished in the mid lane, and he's probably going to fall pretty far behind. Ping's going out onto the mountain great, but I don't think there's actually the ability to set up on it for Lost Collective. Dang, Deku is just getting monstered. Whew.
Yeah, and Revnon did hit 6, immediately popped the World Ender, and make sure that that was in fact a monstering. It's a technical term for those of you wondering, by the way, but just really making sure that, look, Deku's got no TP. I'm going to get the most out of this trade. I can't go down there either. I'm stuck up here. I might as well, make the most of it. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, and Lilia recognizing that top is clearly her strong side, so using this opportunity to grab the enemy Krugs. Some carry knows that he can't actually contest the Drake that's going on right now, because the mid lane is it's not going nearly as well as top, and with Syndra having to recover from just getting killed, Braves can use the priority to grab the dragon. Yeah, I mean, you can see all of the visions that was set up around the bot side river for Lost Collective. They had the control points there. That was the strong side of the map, and they used it to their advantage. So a single mountain actually feels pretty nice. I mean, I think that's like out of the single stack, out of the dragons that you can get a single stack of, or that you would get a single stack of, I think it's probably the most value. Oh.
Subcarry ignited just out of range of the Q. He will survive, but had to burn his own flash as well. Echidna taking advantage of a little bit of prio he got. Not going to miss out on any farm. Going to go right back to a lane that he is dominating.
Yeah, definitely. He is a level down though in the lane that he is dominating, because he must have missed out on a wave. Let me actually check on the. No, I mean they're probably really close. Yeah, little baby cutie just ticked over to 7, so they're even on waves. It was just because he hadn't picked up that wave yet. So yeah, another.
For almost finds the charm there. Echidna there. He burned his flash. Excuse me. I said that he burned his flash trying to chase some carry. I was mistaken there. He did not do that. But now some carry. He's hit 6. If this turns into a skirmish, Lilting Lullaby finds its mark, and now Echidna trying to get mana. He's got next to no mana. Little baby cutie doesn't have a ton either. Rapid gets the WQ. Swirl Seed. See if he can get it once the minions are out of the way. Doesn't even need it because Bodas. It does turn into a skirmish. In fact, him and Dark Lord coming up. Heal and Flash Burn to secure that kill. And they've got prio for what exactly? We don't know. Maybe that Herald. But Subcarry just liberally going into the jungle after that.
Yeah, Deku taking the bad end of another trade here. I mean, you're going to expect this when you blind pick the Maokai, but it's always tough to watch. Wait, no, that was a last pick Maokai, wasn't it?
Let me see. I've got the draft here on my other monitor. Yeah, it was R5 Maokai.
Well, I just assumed that it's a blind pick because that's like what Maokai is. But yeah, that's actually. I mean, if this is your answer to Aatrox,
it's gonna go a lot like that. That is another kill for Revnon. Pops the World Ender. Rapid, has to burn the flash there. Okay, so maybe overstayed just a little bit. Some carry was there for the dissuasion, but Rapid is only level 6. That's something you can easily walk away from.
Yeah, and Rapid didn't have access to the ultimate either, so no chance of like sniping out Revnon or anything. Yeah, that top lane's looking rough, and as I've been recently informed, Deku opted into that one, so not the best look. And Maokai isn't going to be winning any lanes anytime soon, but you would hope that in picking him here, he would have been intending to lose a little bit more gracefully. That being said, it's about a 2,000 gold lead because of the top and jungle farm gap at this point. Bot lane as well, a casual wave ahead. So the pressure from Tristana being that kill up and having a BF sword definitely showing through. But yeah, but it also has red buffs, so that's going to be a rough time for the duration of that.
Yeah, no, things are going really, really swimmingly here for Akuma. Like you said, as Maokai, right? It's blind pickable because the objective is to just sit there, soak, don't get, too donkeyed in terms of farm, don't get solo killed and whatnot. That's a win. If you blind pick a tank like that, Charm doesn't land, but little baby cutie trying to get cheeky and sidestep, but couldn't go under tower. Even if he did, was probably going to end up dead anyway. Rapid for all of the... He's been around that mid wave. He knows his power point.
He's camping the hell out of mid. You can say it.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's working out. I mean, it's when in doubt, when you're not sure what to do on the map, the Dragon still has another minute until it's up. Just do what works. It seems like ganking mid lane has been consistently getting at least a flash, if not a kill. So why not return there on the flashless Syndra, who's now 20 CS behind?
I wanted to ask you this. I meant to ask you this when Rapid busted out the Pantheon as well, but on champs like Graves and Pantheon, they both took Chilling Smite. What do you think about that? Because that to me doesn't, I'm sure there's a reason. Or maybe there isn't, I don't know. But like with champs like that have gap closers, jumps, etc., the Chilling Smite feels a little redundant.
Well, it's less redundant and more just another tool that you could use to navigate team fights. I mean, that's something that's really important when you're playing a champion like Graves that has, 2 auto attacks and an ability or 2, and then he doesn't do anything for a moment and is just purely needs to like reposition himself in the most optimal spot to get more damage off when he reloads and his cooldowns come back up. So like in team fights and skirmishes and stuff, like tools like that are really valuable, and you can see Rapid went for the fleet footwork instead of the phase rush. So like, you're probably missing a little bit of that nice consistent maneuverability and catch potential or kite potential in teamfights and skirmishes. So the blue smite gives you that.
Very well explained. Yeah, no, I think the rune choice is something good to point out, because phase rush is taken pretty popularly on Graves, as it is just such a positioning dependent champion. And Lilia as well. So I guess, but I don't usually see phase rush on Lilia. Well, I mean, she's got just movement speed out the wazoo. I answered my own question. Silly me. Echidna here has his team able to take
this is just why is little baby? So he's gonna die. You don't have to cast it. But I'm just wondering why little baby cutie is walking back to his lane that way. Like he can just not do that. He can just not walk into the Ahri that's ahead of him.
Unfortunately, it really is that simple. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So nothing more to say about that. Yeah, you can just friendly tip for your ranked games. You can just not walk into fed enemies, and then you'll live. So pro tip there.
Yeah. Plate's not down just yet, so trying to milk everything they can out of this bot lane here. We mentioned the farm disparity. Everything's still at about where it is when we called it out last. True Barrage goes out, doesn't find its mark.
Everything except for the gold. When we called it last, the farm disparities were the same, but there was around a 2k or 3k gold lead for Akuma. At this point, that has equalized, right? There's just a 300 gold lead for the side of Akuma now. So, with the first tower going down and the kills mid, and some plates. Oh, hold on.
Oh, Bodas, the tower goes down, but so does he. Ezreal getting the Conqueror stacks off. Dark Lord Matthew flashing in, gets the WQ, able to get enough damage, but Applause should be able to, if nothing else, kind of stall this out long enough. Well, actually, just as I say that, Dark Lord doesn't have Flash or Ignite. Okay, the Dredge line lands. Meanwhile, on the top side, how about the 2 tanks picking up 2 kills? The little baby cutie. Man, he needs a kill not like a fish needs a bicycle, because that's not how that works. But Revnon will take it instead and just bonk him right back.
Yeah, I mean, with the Syndra ease that I've been seeing, I don't know if little baby cutie deserves a kill. I'm gonna be honest, but either way, Revnon definitely looking like a clear PowerPoint. For a clear Microsoft Word, if you know what I'm not. But he's looking really strong for his team at this point in the game, and it's definitely the lane that they want to play through and they want to be defensive around. It looked like that was a play started by, I mean, unfortunately we didn't catch the beginning of it, but I think that it was Rapid and Deku actually looking for something onto Revnon and Sun Carry, and then Sun Carry like ulting defensively. But yeah, either way, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say just Echidna right now. You talk about the power points. Echidna is that for Lost Collective, right? It's been that mid-jungle duo of Rapid and Echidna. So Echidna, he's not going to miss out on his anime power arc. He said, look, okay, I've defeated the first boss in Lil Baby Cutie. I want the big man. Give me Rev, not able to get the second charge of his ult away, but a nice EQ from Dark Lord, but he's going to get charmed and Echidna flashes away. That is tough.
Yeah, that's like, that's so hard because as Leona, you're not sure how you want to layer the CC because you don't know if you'll have enough time between them spamming flash to get out. And yeah, unfortunately, there's just a brief window in between there. Well, unfortunately for Dark Lord Matthew and his team, but probably pretty fortunately for Echidna, he's able to mash flash and like sneak out from under the Leona ultimate and barely get out of there, which is pretty important. I would say you don't want to give over. It doesn't look like he actually has a shutdown, which is surprising considering his farm lead and lack of deaths. But maybe he's like just shy of it. Either way, it does ruin my point about not wanting to give over a shutdown because there's no objective up. But either way, you never want to die. I mean, you don't want to give 300 gold to the enemy team at any point.
And that is a point that is always worth making.
But it does mean that Echidna doesn't have flash for this next fight. It actually looks like all the flashes except for Applause on the side of Lost Collective are going to be down, which is a little bit scary coming into this dragon fight where the teams are both even on gold. And at this stage in the game, I would definitely favor Akuma's comp when it is even on gold. That won't be true for the whole game. I do think that the scaling is probably on the side of Lost Collective, but right now, Akuma are looking scary with the completed jungle item and the haunting guys on the Lilia, the Aatrox having the Black Cleaver, and see how much gold he's actually sitting on. Okay, so he's not going to be able to complete the Death Stance or anything like that. But it's really just Syndra who's kind of behind the curve, which definitely hurts, but it's not going to be the biggest deal as we see this skirmish top.
Yeah, Revnon just taking all of his power, and good for him. That is how you got to play Aatrox. You've got that little advantage. You've got to keep your foot on the gas. Echidna has no flash, but it's got 3 stacks of an ult and Glacial Augment and a GLP. Lil Baby Cutie will take care of the rest. A much-needed kill for him. Bodass going in here, gets the bomb. Oh! Blows up Ezreal in midair. That feels bad. TP coming down here. Both top laners have it. Revnon going to join the fight here as well. Applause gets deleted. Bodass showing up. We haven't talked about the bot lane much, Mr. Thib, but Bodass has made his appearance.
Yep, made his appearance with the Infinity Edge and the Zeal. And like I said, on these item spikes, I definitely favor Akuma's comp in the dragon fight. It didn't even really come down to that, though. I think that Echidna just overstepped in trying to get that kill, trying to get that pick onto the Lilia. Like, obviously, she's going to use her ult to defend herself, and so even if you kill her before the Drowsy goes down, you're still gonna give her team time to catch up and time for Syndra to burst you, which, like you said, a much needed kill for the Syndra to at least catch up a little bit in gold to the Ahri. I mean, still 2,000 gold behind, but crucially, that pick does lead to the dragon, which can be a decent win condition for Akuma later on, although unfortunately, I would say that Cloud is probably the worst one that they could have rolled, because they really want to roll one of the stat-enhancing dragons or even an ocean dragon to just give their comp that little boost in the late game that it's lacking because of the champions you have, right? You just your champions just don't scale as well as the enemy team. Actually, I don't know how the three works Ahri scales. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's more even with Syndra, but either way, I think the scaling also just compositionally with the front line and front to back does favor Lost Collective. So yeah, we'll see how Akuma can navigate the team fights. And like I said originally when I started the point, it means that dragons aren't as important this game. They're good, but the team that gets Dragon Soul is by no means a guaranteed favorite, whichever team gets it.
Yeah, and the fact that in the mid lane, Lil Baby Cutie, to circle back to something you said earlier, is down over 2k gold, but his team is up almost 1k. Actually, we haven't talked about the bot lane much, but it is Revnon and Bodass. If you pull up those gold, thank you so much to Caddy Crew for helping us out there, picking up what we were putting down. Look at the disparities in top and bot, more than being made up for.
pretty gross. 2K gold lead in top, which again, you're expecting your Maokai to be a bit behind. I don't think. I mean, so you expect to lose a bit to the Leona Trist, especially when Trist is that in that scary mid game stage, and Ezreal doesn't quite have the items that he wants. No Trinity Force or Gauntlet quite completed. Hold that thought.
All right, thought held. Continue.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Glad we held that thought. So yeah, no, I mean, in all seriousness though, about that kill, nothing really gonna be able to be converted.
Oh, and now they might get converted on. Good night, Echidna blew everything on catching the Lilia, and that is the price he pays. Damage coming down here from Rapid, and Ezreal, the ult comes out as well. The roots as well from Deku from the TP and the flash, and now they might have a turn here, Mr. Thib. Dark Lord Matthews out of the fight. All the CC is gone. Revnon blew everything. Can he lay down enough damage to help his team escape? Bodast taking some chickens on the way out, taking his food to go, and the hook lands from Applause, and Rapid gonna pick up the kill. Bodast alive, but at what cost? Dark Lord picks up a kill. What a turn there from Lost Collective.
Yeah, pretty insane turn after. I mean, well, it was Lost Collective that got the original pick, right?
Yeah,
and then,
but then it was
and
then
they were just way too deep in mid lane as 3. They got collapsed on and then somehow managed to just fight their way out of it. I think with a lot of damage coming in from Ezreal, some really good CC layering as well, coming out from Deku and Applause. And yeah, Lost Collective managing to pull it out in that team fight. Maybe a testament to how we felt about their team comp's scaling and ability to play team fights the more the game progresses. But at the same time, like, we have to acknowledge Bodast on the Tristana. I mean, did you I don't know if you caught it because I think you were catching like a different part of the fight, but he just jumped in like a madman into 3 people, got exhausted, and was still like autoing and got a kill to get his reset and jump back out. I mean, Bodast is really really feeling himself on the Trist here, and he's looking like the late game hope that Akuma need to sort of carry through and stay competitive as the game progresses.
5-1-2, sitting on 2.5 items, and well, now 3. There we go. I was going to say 2.5 items and about 800 gold in his bag, which he has converted into 3 items. This is huge for Akuma because that was the one gripe, right? In these mid-game fights, you harped on it, and it's good that you did, because at even gold in these mid-game fights, right? Yeah, you favor Akuma, but then it's okay. What do you do from there? Aatrox is going to start falling off. Lilia, right? I mean, just yet she hasn't had her most amazing game here. She's not racking up the gold via the kills, but it is Bodast. He is going to be that hope. And based on the aggression and the confidence and just the mechanical, it's the confidence that comes from knowing your limits and knowing that you are prepared as the ult finds its way between the uprights there. That's the best kind of confidence because, yeah, I mean, Bodast has that, and he's playing it really well here. And Echidna, if he goes down, this one could go the same way. Let's see if they've got another turn in them. Applause trying to CC everybody. Ezreal and Rapid. Ezreal taken low here. The little Swirl Seed is not going to find its mark. And after all that, Applause gets the last shield here with his W. Dredgeline goes out. Rapid picks up a kill there, but he will go down. And it's another kill for Bodast. 1 for sub carry. You get a kill. You get a kill. Deku trying to escape. The Dragon, which is what started this fight, goes down to Bodast as well. Revnon still got the upper hand here on Deku, but Deku does have a tower he can retreat to. Gets the Q out and will buy himself some time and will retreat to safety.
All right, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that 3 deaths ago, Echidna was 3-0-2. I'm
yes,
pretty sure.
I think that's correct.
Echidna has literally inted 3 times in a row to lose his team fights. Okay, granted, one of them was like a semi-win more than a lost team fight, but unfortunately that was the only one that didn't happen around an objective timing. But around the 2 dragons, the 2 most recent ones, Echidna has just walked it down and just thrown away. I mean, we were praising him so much for his laning phase and how much of a lead he built, but if this is what you're gonna do with your lead, then it doesn't really mean anything, right? Echidna has almost solo thrown these past 2 dragons for his team, which is really unfortunate considering that for the disadvantage compositionally that they were at that stage in the game. I thought they were doing pretty well and they could actually contest those 5v5, but yeah. Definitely looking for Echidna to like step it up, get his head back in the game. We've seen what he's capable of in the early game. He just needs to be more disciplined in these team fights. He's not, incredibly ahead of the enemy team anymore. He can't just do whatever he wants and then ult away and get away with it. There's enough lockdown, there's enough burst on the enemy team to punish mispositioning, and so he needs to clean that up.
Yeah, and especially in a composition that, like we were saying, was like, look, you've got Maokai Nautilus, dog, right? And like you yourself have,
Actually,
things
dog.
in your kit, dog. You and Ezreal and Rapid, right? The mobility of these damage carries. We're talking about that in draft. There is no reason for you to be up front like that. I get that you want to pick, but if everybody else is, a quarter of the map behind you trying to secure the dragon, or at least be able to fight around it, and Deku and Applause are back there just in case, someone gets jumped on by Trist, because we've seen the aggression with which Bodast likes to play, or if someone gets hit by a wayward swirl seed or something. There's no reason for you to be up there. Yes, you have that pick potential. Yes, that's why you build the way you build with the Glacial Augment, the GLP, right? It's all that setup. And we saw
you don't need to be that close, right?
No, exactly, right? Like, you've got other setup tools. You're a glorified, you're like a utility assassin, or, you were an assassin back in the day. But yeah, I mean, you've got the potential for picks. We've seen that. And yeah, I mean, Echidna has shown his prowess at his highs, and that's why the frustration is coming out in my voice, is that in the 3 games, 2.5, that I've casted of him, I've seen, look, this guy could be a carry, right? And like on the Ari, you see the little flashes of like, oh, that's why this got banned out, because he can just smurf on kids. But yeah, he's going to have to step it up.
You think this Graves build has a little too much MR, or you think it's fine?
Wow. Okay. Wait. Oh.
Yeah. That's what it sounded like in my head when I was looking at it. I mean, I guess that I get it, because the mid jungle 2v2 is Lilia and Syndra, but I feel like just the Merc Treads and then building items that actually help you like do damage and like do things in the game, because you need to be a relevant source of damage. Like, you need to, if you're not a damage threat, and again, I think that Rapid can potentially get away with this because of how ahead of the curve he is. Right. Like that's the thing, is like, if you build something that's slightly less gold efficient, but it helps you preserve your lead a lot better than building more damage would, then it might be the right choice. So from that perspective, I can definitely respect it. Like, he has no chance of getting one shot by Syndra ult anymore, and obviously Graves getting a lot of armor naturally from his passive means that he's kind of covered on both fronts in terms of resistances. So like, I don't hate it in this game, because he's 8-3 and he's one of the main carries, and he needs to live. But
yeah. But your point is well taken, right? On paper, it's a little question mark pingy, right? I mean, and especially because
exactly. Okay, it's you said it in chat, right? Like, it's like, sure, I get it, but the magic damage on their team is 1-4 and 1-5, and there's a 7-1 Triss with a 700 gold bounty with like 7 depleted items that you need to deal with. That's a lot more important. So yeah, I think that's the main reason why I have such a reservation.
There goes Bodash trying to test his theory. Rapid on the escape, and Revnon just whacks him over the head. That's why you build the armor, kids. You can't build up the true grit if the fight lasts 2 seconds. True Shot Barrage goes out, finds 3 people. That's the first good one he has hit. That sounded really flamey, but that is a fact. I'm sorry. That was cool.
I mean, he's 0-4, man. You can tell it like it. He's named after the champion, and it's not.
Oh yeah, you hate to see it.
Yeah. It's a tough time, but Baron looks like it's being started up. Health bars are kind of low.
Started up. Echidna, he's got the follow-up this time. He's able to use that second charge, the ult, to get right back out. The health bars were low enough where he felt comfortable making that play. Lilton Lullaby goes out. Bodash is absolutely free. Picks up 2 kills. He's on the other side of the wall, just right-clicking people's heads. And he's flashing in. He might get another. He gets a triple kill. He jumps right over Ezreal, but does go down. I thought he was going to 1v9 that. Oh my goodness, he is so strong. And now the TP coming in again against the charm off one more auto. They kill each other. Revnon in with the home guard from the after TP. Ezreal will go down. Revnon picks up the ace.
Oh, quite the fiesta we have on our hands. That is going to be the Dragon Soul going over to the side of Akuma, which, like we said before, isn't some like incredible thing, but it's still a flat 10% movement speed. It's still, you know, the ult CDR and then the burst of speed definitely helps out the Aatrox and the Lilia, as well as probably Tristana as well. So it's not like, I mean, it's never like getting a Dragon Soul is a bad thing, you know, Cloud or
Yeah,
not,
exactly.
right? And a champion like Aatrox especially uses it well, but.
Ooh, nice Umbral dash over the wall. Deku blew everything on him, but couldn't lock him down. Would have been nice to cheese away a kill after the laning phase that he had earlier. But Revnon and a good TP from Lil Baby Cutie being there to help his boy out. Yeah, I mean, it's little by little. I think you said it in when we started this game off was, you know, it's going to be a controlled, you know, play this out little by little sort of game. And while maybe it hasn't been as clean as that sentence, you know, would have implied in our heads when we said it, you know, it is close in a similar way.
Yeah. But I think at this point I'm just getting frustrated because it feels like Lost Collective have, you know, a relatively easy to execute team fight win condition, but they just keep running into easy Lilia sleep setups and losing the team fights, and it just doesn't. I don't know. It's weird because they have all the tools to be able to outplay that and to make sure that they burst down a critical carry, and then by time when the sleep goes out with their front line, and you know, lock people down with the Maokai ult, like people like Aatrox and Lilia that have to be within, you know, some semblance of melee range, and then you win the team fight from there. But again, I mean, Ezreal, you know, finally has hit a point where he might be doing some relevant damage with the full, you know, Mirror Mana plus the Bork plus the Iceborne Gauntlet. Oh, Claws.
Good dredge line to get him out of trouble. Deku has the Nature's Grasp up, but is not going to use it here. Smart choice. Toss the sapling out for good measure. Echidna, oh boy, he loves playing with fire. Couple autos go out, another one. He does survive, but again, he plays this game on the margins right now. And with the Baron up, two big source of damage, not going to be there.
Probably going to be Baron because there were two massive chunks. I mean, they weren't kills, but they were almost as good because you sent Nautilus and Ahri back to base, and they have to run all the way over to Baron now, which you do so much damage to with this Tristana. Yeah, that's Baron.
Baron got absolutely tonked with the percent health, and Trist, Bodast is absolutely bossing this game. Swirl Seed goes out. He's dealing so much damage with mobility. He has the confidence he's playing, what they've got to play around. Yeah, this is his game right now. They don't even have to keep him that safe. He's shown that everybody else can kind of do their thing, and some carries been really good about setting up those sleeps. You brought that up earlier. Revnon is still a force because of the lead that he built up earlier. He's got that Black Cleaver. You know, he's got the MR there from the Spirit Visage. He's going to stay alive forever. Yeah, I mean, the Cleaver is helping out Bodast a lot, and it's going to be applied to everybody because this Aatrox is just going to survive forever.
Yeah, exactly. The Aatrox, again, so ahead of the curve that he can just assert his dominance. And despite a Syndra that is so behind, which I would think that Syndra is almost critical to this comp functioning properly and getting the leads it needs to be at a point like this, it just doesn't matter. Bodast and Revnon have just taken the game into their own hands and said, little baby cutie, we'll carry you across the finish line, buddy.
All the CC comes down onto Echidna, and that wasn't even his most egregious example of poor positioning, but it gets punished nonetheless. Lots of CC coming down onto Deku, even more damage. Dark Lord setting it up, and Lil Baby Cutie knocking it down. Bodast finally joined the fight. He was just wailing away on the tower there. Jumps over the wall. They're going to get this. They might be able to get an inhib out of it. The death timers are starting to tick up. Still 30-plus seconds for both Deku and Echidna. Ezreal doing what he can. Revnon will leave the fight. That inhib is going to go down here after the tower does as well. Some carry doing a great job of dodging these skill shots.
Yeah, like, look how low they are. They would be at half of that each if Ezreal could just land his Qs, but here comes Revnon now. It looks like that's the inhib down, and I don't think they'll push for more. They're still,
Wilting Lullaby lands, but Applause is back, and Rapid is a little higher on mana as well, so no ability to capitalize. Echidna back alive as well. Good job not greeting for that. We've got some Baroned up cannon waves. Cut your losses.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was saying, I just think that Ezreal is so... Oh, Echidna, what do you think? Okay.
Playing this game at 1,000 miles an hour, and now Deku is all alone. Throws out the ult, and now Rapid's going to get collapsed on. Ezreal over the wall is able to do enough damage, but Renan just meets him right there. Umbral dash right over. Echidna does pick up a kill. It is scattered. It is all over the place, but Lost Collective able to pull a little something out here. Dark Lord, what's he doing?
What
Where's
are
his
you
damage?
doing? What are you
was
doing?
not anywhere near there. Oh, they had it. Ezreal picks up a free kill. Gifted. And now Bodas. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh. Never mind. It was all part of the plan. They were just delaying the recalls. They were buying time, but it'll only be good if they can execute on a little bit. And Cutie has the Banshee's Veil. They aren't able to take down the Nexus, but they are able to take down the Nexus towers. Ooh, Mr. Thiv,
it's not worth it.
I don't
The
know about
Elder
that.
is up in 30 seconds. How is it? Explain to me in what world that's. I mean, I understand what they were going for, but I'm sure you understand why I was still saying, what are they doing? Inting to stop backs with your strongest members, which is your bot lane. When Elder is about to be up and you have no chance of actually ending the game. I mean, obviously they thought they had a chance of ending the game, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. But I think that that's
they did have like a lowercase c chance, but
I don't know. I think that's a pretty easily readable situation of there's already enough people back in the base that we're not going to be able to end the game. So, you know, they do get 2 Nexus towers out of it, and it looks like everyone is going to be up before the dragon gets started on. That is really unfortunate that that they weren't able to be on top of the Elder Dragon right when it spawned, because they might.
Yeah, you see how late Bodast is to the fight. He'll get there, but will it be too little too late? Will they even need him? Echidna does go down. Dark Lord Matthew trying to lay down the CC to everyone he can, buys his team some time. Bodast has arrived. That is the damage they need. Ezreal picks up a kill. Gonna take down this Elder Dragon, barring a cheeky steal here. Now they've got the turn. Deku on the other side of it. Swirl Seed goes out over the wall. Watch out, Eep! Ezreal has to flash over the wall. Bodast will get enough damage here onto Deku, assuming that Ezreal doesn't just pull a rabbit out of a hat. He's figured out how to play Ezreal, ladies and gentlemen. Revnon will go down. No, he will not. He will just heal everything right back up. Pop the World Ender here. That Spirit Fist is doing work. But then Ezreal does pick up the kill there, and they just abandon the Elder Drake, and they are going to win this game. What a hectic last couple minutes.
Jeez, what an ending to that. But at the end of the day, I mean, you have an open Nexus. If you're not going to be on top of that Elder Dragon as soon as it spawns and trying to 50-50 it immediately before the enemy team can all even get there as 5, then you're just asking to lose the game like that. So, you know, that's the way it goes.
Holy moly. Well, that was fun. I did a lot of yelling there. That wasn't even like me just turning up the energy there. That was all organic. That was fun. I haven't done that in a while. Wow. Well, I mean, kind of the broader takeaways here. Lost Collective do go down in a 4th straight game 3. Akuma Claymores muscle one out here. They are 2-2. And I mean, yeah, this one was the most exciting game. The last 2 were pretty stompy. So I'm glad that game 3 kind of lived up to that hype. Even Ezreal started to come back there. He was I think literally 0-5 or 0-4 at one point. It was going really, really poorly for him, but he came back. Revnon started to fall off a little bit. And honestly, I think if that game would have gone on any longer, if they were able to 50-50 that Elder, Lost Collective had not even whatever the opposite of a snowball's chance in hell is, right? They had a legitimate shot at coming back there.
Yeah, they had a chance, but also I definitely I mean, I have to be disappointed with how Echidna played. Again, not to call him out, but I just his early game was really, really good, and I just thought he was playing the Ahri so well, and really just honestly gapping the enemy mid laner. And he just had a couple of kind of brain fart moments that really threw that lead away and allowed the enemy team to snowball. So. Pretty unfortunate. It's a tough way to kind of go out of the race here, so to speak. Because I mean, maybe it's not mathematical, but I mean, 0-4 is
for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. So it's a tough way to go out on yet another 1-2. But like you said, at least there was a strong fight in this game, and it was pretty close until the end.
Yep, and with that, like I said, Kuma do move to 2-2 on the season. As we get other results here, looking to see if there's anything from this division. Soulbound and Glacial are not done with their series just yet. Over on the Excellency stream, if you guys were enjoying that one, Qualix took a 2-0 there over Striking Vipers. And yeah, that's going to be pretty much it from us here. You won't see us until maybe playoffs, but this division here, I mean, with Soulbound and Glacial up top, especially Soulbound, they looked really, really strong in the game that we did cast. They are 3-0. If they repeat their performance against Glacial here, who's the second best team in this division, they should be 4-0. They were finalists last split. This division is still definitely one to keep up with, especially because Lost Collective, right? They're the only team that have taken a game off Soulbound, and they play them next week. So definitely tune in for that. But Mr. Thiv, any final thoughts, zooming in, zooming out, what have you, before we let the good people go on with their day?
I mean, I don't have much. It was a fun back and forth series, but at the end of the day, like, it's just League of Legends is just about how you execute around objectives, and whichever team does that better across the course of the series is the team that wins, and that's what happened today. So, that's all I got.
All right. Well, that will do it for us, 4x4 and Mr. Thiv on Play by Play in Color. Thank you so much for being here. Again, shout out to Rando Joe for he completely switched up his sleep schedule for Worlds. He's on the East Coast, so he's been up since like 4 a.m. Good for him. I'm on the West Coast, so 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. isn't exactly sustainable for me, as much as I wish it was. I tried that on the first night, and I've been.
Hey, it has been so far. Let's go, baby. We're in here. I mean, what?
What?
No.
No. And thank you to Caddy as well for standing in. Oh, MVP of this series. Caddy is wondering if we've got one of those. Mr. Thiv, I'll throw it to you first, or if you want me to blather on while you think, I can do that too. I'm good at
that. You are good at that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it would have to be someone from the bot lane for Akuma. But
that's tough.
Yeah, it's tough because I felt like, I mean, they each had a game where they were the main carry, right? It was the first game it was like a support carry, and the third game was Tristana hard carry. So
yeah, which doesn't necessarily happen without a good support. So
fair.
Maybe on balance we give it to Dark Lord.
Do you remember what role we gave it to last time? We gave it to a jungler, so that we can't narrow it down that way. Yeah, let's give it to Dark Lord Matthew. But all right. I mean, Bodas. I mean, it was just it was the bot lane. But if we have to name one player, let's give it to the support. Give him some recognition.
Dark Lord Matthew. Yeah, I love that. All right, I think that's a good place to end it on. Again, thank you so much for being here. Whether you're coming from the the Excellency stream after that 2-0 over for Qualix over Striking Vipers, or if this is your first time joining us, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. If you've been here forever, we hope that we hit or exceeded any expectations you had of us, 4x4 and Mr. Thiv. Again, thank you to Joe. Thank you to Caddy for stepping in as a producer at the last minute. This has been week 4 action in Division 3. Again, the final. Lost Collective dropped their 4th straight 3-game set. They're down to 0-4. They lose 2-1 to Akuma Claymores, who are now 2-2 on the year. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great rest of your Monday.
Take it easy.